Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Bonfire Nexus. It's been a while. We've had some very fortunate scheduling as of late, and I've actually contracted acute bronchitis.
Jesus.
So I'm better now. I'm still just coughing a little bit, and it's starting to dying down. But yeah, I did not have a good week. It was pretty bad. But yeah, so sorry if you hear some coughing. I'll try to suppress it and stuff. But you can find us as you would normally in all our socials, any social with the tag at the Bonfire Nexus, and you can email us at thebonfirenexus@gmail.com. Any questions, any topics you want to talk about, and the like. Our topic today is we're going to be covering a lot of the reveals that have happened recently. There's been a lot of panels and showcases. So we figured we'd go and talk about the ones that I guess really spoke to us. Just discuss that. And I'm here with my two normal co-hosts, Daniel.
Normal.
And Alex.
What's up? I'm back.
Yeah. I mean, before we get into the main topic, what have you guys been up to? Alex, I heard, talked about your trip. How was that, man?
Yeah, I went to Ireland, gorgeous country. Was able to visit a few cities. I went to Dublin, Galway, and I stayed a night in Shannon, but we didn't really do anything there. Really pretty. Food was hit or miss. It feels like they could either make a really good dish or something that has no salt or seasoning whatsoever. It was one or the other. Okay, I do want to say I did go to a Michelin star restaurant too, just because they don't really have those here in the States, and it was an interesting experience, like a 10-course meal. There are varieties and flavors. I'm in no rush to do it again because I paid a lot of money. I paid more than you would for a meal to do it, but interesting experience. And then just seeing all the sights and everything was really cool. Dublin's a very vibrant city. It's mostly around the town center though, and there is a lot of historical sites to see. It is very much a sightseeing city, and then at night is when you kind of get that more hang out at a pub, go to a club kind of vibe. Galway is very touristy, but in a good way. It's just very beautifully built. The shops are very nice. Restaurants are good, and the people were always friendly, so that's great. Since I've come back, though, I have been playing, and I have an announcement, fellas. I've hit a gamer milestone.
Oh, gosh.
I have finally reached 1,000 hours on one game.
That's it?
At least recorded on Steam. Yeah. I'm sure I have 1,000 in one of the other Halo games, or even Mountain Blade, and just not recorded because of different ways I've played it. But Star Wars Empire at War, the 2005 RTS. I have finally hit 1,000 hours after having that game for maybe 12 years on Steam.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's a good one to,
yeah,
hit that milestone.
So for the uninitiated, it was during the golden age of Star Wars games where you had the classics like Republic Commando, KOTOR, Jedi Knights, Jedi Outcast, right? It was kind of a 5-year period. The Battlefront games too, can't forget those. And it is probably one of the coolest RTSs in concept that has aged well enough, and I think the modding community, as is very common for those Star Wars games of that time, just in general, has really kept it alive. And the fact that, EA, when they got the Star Wars license, they actually brought back the servers. So, rare EAW, basically.
Yeah.
And it did the same for the old Battlefront 2 as well, and then they're still online, I think. Because they used to be, what was it, GameSpy, I think? Servers on there, or was Petroglyph's own server that they just couldn't keep running. But EA picked up the slack, and now you can actually go play regular multiplayer, even with the mods. You can just start a lobby, and people can join, or you can get your friends in there. So what's really cool about it is on the, Galactic Conquest style map, right? You get 2 layers of combat. You get ground and space. So you get building fleets and then building armies. And basically, in order to take a planet, you need to take out the space defenses, and then you got to take a battle to the ground. And those different battles are going to be influenced in different ways depending on like the map geography, both in space and in land. So on land, right, it's really cool because if you invade like Kashyyyk, the Wookiee homeworld, and you're the rebels, then the Wookiees are going to rise up and fight alongside you. Or if you go to like a more imperial place where the people kind of enjoy their lives under the Empire, I guess is the implication, the civilian population might like take up arms with the Empire and help you as an imperial player. So it's just really cool layers for a 2005 RTS. Like the battles themselves in the base game are pretty basic, pretty small. You can maybe bring 2 or 3 Star Destroyers in at most if you're playing as the Empire, for example. But I've been playing a mod that has basically brought it into the modern era called Awakening of the Rebellion. And there's a handful of mods that aim to do a similar thing, and I all think they succeed and fail in different places. But I just like how the mod I'm playing overhauls basically everything. So in the base game, most people didn't really like the ground combat because it was so bare bones. Basically, you drop in a bunch of tanks and you win. Whereas in this one, there's a little more like strategy to it because there are status effects like suppression that they've added. There's different ways you can utilize units' abilities. And instead of just like a rock, paper, scissors that the original game had, they've done away with that in favor of more like strategic use of resources. And then like things like the indigenous species, they've been buffed, so they're a little more effective. Even if you are just using them as cannon fodder, they'll typically hold the line a little longer. And then different vehicles will meet different roles. So infantry is much more effective too. So if you're one that does like to kind of have a combined arms sort of approach to like strategy, you can do that with air, land, and like ground, like infantry, in a way that kind of feels a bit like maybe an old Company of Heroes game or some of the more contemporary RTS games of its time. So so that's my recommendation if you want to kind of go back to a really old Star Wars game. And this was prompted by me watching the season 2 of Andor and being like, damn, I really want to like be the Rebel Alliance right now. Because of what he did. And then that mod specifically, plus one called Rebel Sim, which is a sub mod, will kind of create this like building a Rebel Alliance experience for you. And then, you know, it starts from you have a handful of ships and they all kind of suck against the Empire, which has the iconic Star Destroyers, more planets than you, more resources than you. And then as you slowly get victory after victory, you can actually build a like sizable force to challenge the Empire. And there's a lot of progress made over time. And also the Galactic Conquest campaigns last for upwards of like I want to say 20 hours at least, depending on the size you pick. I know with that mod specifically, the largest has like 110 planets for you to kind of go out and conquer, and then the smaller one is still like 89 or something. So you can really dig into it, and it's like a tug of war, right? The AI is pretty smart in those mods, so they will take advantage of their smarter units. They're only going to attack when they know they can win on like the auto resolve calculator. Funny enough. So there is no like cheaping around it. You do have to be really mindful of how you're spreading out your defenses, and then also keep in mind things like excuse me, like unit population, and then of course your economy. So that's why I love it. It's also got perfect Star Wars aesthetics, sound design, and does a good job of like old and new. So if you're really tied to the old Legends novels and like ships from there, then you can definitely see those when you play and like add them to your unit roster. But if you like some of the newer stuff that Disney's made in terms of like ships or units, then they'll definitely pop up too, which creates a nice balance for anyone who's like, but I don't really like the Disney stuff, but I don't really like the old stuff. So that's Empire at War. So I don't know if you've played it, Mike. I don't know how big
I have not, but I have it in my library, and then whatchamacallit, I've like, since I've known Skylar, my friend Skylar, like I think it was in middle school, it might have been high school. I like went over his house once and I saw him playing, and I was like, holy shit, this shit's awesome. I've never played it for some reason, but I've always like appreciated it you know, from like looking at it, and I'm like, I gotta play that sometime. So it's been sitting in my library. So when I have a hankering to play RTS, I'll dive
Yeah.
into that.
Oh, for sure. I mean, it's simple. It's Star Wars, man. It's never going to be too complicated for anyone to understand how to play. You click and move units. Some units are bombers and pierce shields. It's, if you know Star Wars well enough, like you paid attention in the movies, you'll know what everything does. And even then, it's pretty good with information. The only thing
Have
I
you
need
play... Oh, no, go ahead.
Yeah, the only thing I need to advise is that if you're playing the base game and its expansion, Forces of Corruption, they added a third faction, which on paper is the coolest fucking like Star Wars thing you can imagine. It's like this crime lord, and he recruits like Mandalorians and all these bounty hunters and everything to his cause. It completely destroyed the balance of the game. Like completely.
Too strong.
Way too strong. And the balancer for him was that like, oh, these units are supposed to be more expensive. But his whole thing is like being a fucking crime boss. It's about making money. So even if his units are more expensive than the base game roster units, he can still build as many because he gets more money. So also he gets like meta map abilities, which are really powerful. So like you can play Forces of Corruption because it has a really fun story mode. But if you're looking for actual like balanced play, pick up one of the mods that are available on the workshop, like Republic at War or Awakening of the Rebellion, and then play that because you're gonna have a much better time. It's much better balance. Like modders did it better, but I don't think that was the intent when they made Forces of Corruption anyways, so it's whatever.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sick. Andor is the show that you guys keep telling me to watch, right? The one that's more detective based or whatever.
Yeah, I'd say it's more spy
like
thriller.
Rebellion.
Yeah. It's like the early days of the Rebel Alliance and how they kind of put it together, but they go into, of course, like, people ask for like, oh, we don't need black and white good versus bad Star Wars. And it's less that, more like every character's kind of gray, and the forces they serve can be good or bad, or something in between. But just really well-written dialogue, and yeah, I mean, I love Andor. If you don't like Star Wars, you might be able to appreciate it just as like a spy thriller in a sci-fi setting. And if you do like Star Wars and want a little more nuance out of the writing instead of just like, well, they're the good space wizards and these are the bad space wizards and they have the space Nazis, which is fine, by the way. I'm not harping on anyone who wants simple Star Wars. It's fun. That's what the original movies were about. Then, I mean, you'll love it to death. I think it's probably some of the best Star Wars media that's come out maybe ever. Like, not to be dramatic. And this is, again, not me saying anything is bad, but more so like they did something that I don't think Star Wars or a lot of media is going to beat for a while. I don't think we're going to see something as good for maybe another 10 years.
Damn.
Just knowing how
All right.
media cycles go.
If I liked Rogue One, would I like Andor?
You'd love it. You'd love it to death.
That was my favorite thing they've done. Yeah. Done. Like Disney's done with Star Wars,
really do like Rogue One. I remember watching it on a flight because I had nothing better to do, and I was like, "This movie's actually pretty sick."
The main character of Andor is I forgot his name, but it's the guy.
Yeah, I know.
Rogue One.
Cassian Andor, played by Diego Luna. So,
I really liked him in Andor. He was great.
As a final note to that, I do want to say it's really funny that Andor was announced at the same time they were announcing like a million other series. The Mandalorian has just been successful. And this
Book
was
of
like
Boba Fett, right?
Yeah, they were like Book of Boba Fett. And like, oh my god, Boba Fett, so cool. And that movie that show ended up being garbage.
Yeah.
And then they also announced, hey, you guys liked Rogue One, so we're gonna make a show about one of the characters named Andor, and it's gonna follow him in his adventures with his robot buddy. And everyone's like, what the fuck are they thinking? There's no way they can milk this guy, especially since spoilers, he fucking dies in Rogue One, right? But that was maybe the strength of it. They brought Tony Gilroy. He's a pretty prestigious Hollywood writer.
I think they need to do more with Star Wars is like stop trying to stick to the. I guess there's two things. Like there's a clear formula they keep trying to do, with like their main movies, like the main series, and then also they keep like I get it. Like people want to see like characters, and I'm not saying like completely stop, right? Like the characters they know and love, right?
Hmm.
But the thing about Star Wars is it's supposed to be such this huge, vast galaxy with such a diverse, like like a bunch of different species of aliens and just crazy, like a bunch of shit there. Like there's
Yeah.
a lot that can be tapped into, explored, and I feel like something like Andor really like goes into that, where it's like, okay, you have the idea for what it's gonna be and everything, but these are new characters that they get to actually like flesh out themselves and not have to worry about all a bunch of Star Wars fans. Like there's no, I guess, what's the word I'm looking for, there's no baggage, I guess,
Yeah.
with with characters like that, because you can do whatever with the character because it's a new character, right? There's not like 30-40 years of like attachment that people have, so you can really express yourself and flesh out the Star Wars universe more.
Yeah.
So I wish they would do more of that personally. As much as I love, your main cast of characters like Obi-Wan and
Of course.
Ahsoka and stuff that,
Yeah.
So
And they've kind of made a new cast in the Disney era using Dave Filoni, like the guy who made the Clone
Mhm.
Wars show.
yeah.
And I'm like conflicted because I do genuinely love those characters. But I'm also like, this guy needs someone else writing scripts with him if he's going to do live action. Or he needs someone doing more like directory stuff, because if you watch the Ahsoka TV show, the fight choreography in that is so like bad.
I watched a video about like that show too, of like how a lot of I don't know, I was just like, it was basic, not like, I guess it wasn't a rant, it was like analyzing the show on certain like things. No, it wasn't even analyzing. I'm pretty sure it was just a Drew Gooden video
Mhm.
talking about like Star Wars media now
Yeah.
and stuff, and he was talking about Ahsoka, which I had never seen, and talking about a lot of inconsistencies with it, compared to something like Andor, and I was just like, wow, this seems like the writing does not seem that great.
Yeah.
on the show.
Yeah.
And
There's
part of it is because you have Ahsoka, like, and then you have like people know how she's supposed to act.
on
and,
your on your note of like they need to get away from the main characters. I don't even think that's the case, because one of the most revered stories from the old like continuity before Disney wiped it out was Heir of the Empire, and it has all the main characters: Luke, Leia, their kids, and then like this I don't know if he was new at the time, but Thrawn, who is the villain of Ahsoka. I don't know if the guy who wrote that is consulting or not. He should be if he isn't, because Thrawn is such like a multifaceted character. He's very much like the savant style leader within the Empire, with a lot of like layers and depth. And the books that they've released from him recently are actually really good, like genuinely. And that's because they brought the same guy back to write for this new era of Star Wars. But if he's going to be in a TV show, and he was in Rebels, the animated show that Disney released when they first got the license, and people were like, this is fine, but there's a lot missing from this character. And you could excuse it because it was a kid's show. They weren't, I mean, they were committing war crimes, but it was very much like, haha, look at how funny murdering those people is. I think Disney's maybe a little afraid, or unwilling, maybe is a better term, to put smarter Star Wars together, or the people they're bringing on to write for Star Wars don't care enough to do it. So then you get someone like Tony Gilroy, who I think puts 100% into everything, and I think at start said, I wasn't really interested in doing Star Wars. Kind of came on board and made something as like multi-layered and interesting as Andor. That's
It's cool.
just to go like, it's good Star Wars. If you don't like Star Wars that much, then it's still good TV. So that'll be my review of Andor. About 2 months after it's ended.
Star Wars is cool. All right,
Right.
Daniel,
Is it
what have you been
cool?
playing, man?
Star Wars is whack.
Yes, I love Star Wars. I love Star Wars.
Man, actually quite a bit. So I don't know if I want to open with this,
Which
but
is
I
new
will.
for you, man. You like don't play games at all. Like it's weird.
Oh well, it's still not video games. So it's more of like things I'm excited for that I haven't gotten around to because of work. But like Siege Mode came out yesterday for Space Marine 2, which is their like endless horde mode basically.
Yep.
So I'm gonna go on a little side tangent here, but like I don't know if this is the case. I've only seen a little bit of footage, but I think it ends after 5 rounds. So like you like fight for
That's
5.
weird.
Yeah, yeah. And they did the same with Darktide because Darktide had that one called like the Mortis Trials, which was trying to be kind of like the Chaos Wastes and Vermintide. And Vermintide is like you go through like an entire expedition. Like one expedition
Yeah.
in Chaos Waste can take you like an hour and a half. Um Whereas like the Mortis Trials, you go through like 5 waves, and they're heavy waves, but like that's it. Then you just leave, and you don't really like build up your weaponry and arsenal like you do in Vermintide. So all of which to say that in Space Marine 2, it looks like it's just kind of like Darktide, where you go through 5 heavy waves and then you just win. Which I've noticed that there's an uptrend on quote unquote horde modes that aren't really horde modes. You know what I mean? Like they're
Mhm.
more just like
Yeah.
glorified
Yeah.
missions, like arenas. Which I don't know. When I think horde mode, I think kind of like Black Ops Zombies, where it's just like
Yeah,
something
yeah.
to the death. Yeah, and it seems like
I think of
games,
Gears of War.
Gears of War
Yeah,
is a good
yeah.
example too.
but like
That one, although,
games,
is still only like 10 to 50, I think, depending on the game. Go on, Dan.
It's
Sorry.
50.
Yeah.
but 50 is
Yeah.
still a lie. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
there's a challenge there. Like if you want
Yeah.
to say that it's like it's not supposed to be endless, fine. But like 5 stages is nothing. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
Yeah.
if you
yeah.
if you can consistently get to stage 5, then like it's not really a horde mode. I don't know. It's kind of weird. I remember like this one game. It's kind of a hidden gem. Alien Fireteam Elite had a horde mode, and I really liked
Mhm.
theirs because theirs was like
Oh.
I think it was 8 rounds, but realistically, you're not making it past 3. Like it is tough as fuck. But like I like the challenge of trying to make it like next one to next one. Whereas like I just feel like when it's a horde mode that's very doable, then it's just kind of like is it really a horde mode or is it just another mission? You know what I mean? That I'm not like holding left
Yeah.
to turn a panel or something instead. So I'm probably gonna try it out right after we're done recording this because I've been waiting for horde mode for a while. I just hope it's not disappointing. And then the other thing I have to play is Forever Winter just came out with another update. And this is less on the update but more on the game. More people have to look after that company. I think I know that I talk about this game like way too much, but like the fact that this game is getting monthly updates and is only on alpha and already has more content than most of the games that I've seen my friends play is kind of insane. Like every month they release a new map. They've been releasing like new enemies every month. Just to put things in perspective, it took Darktide a year and a half to add a guy that throws a gas bomb, which existed in Vermintide 1. And it's just like that's a way bigger company than Fundog Studios, and they've been adding like a bunch of enemies. Now, granted, it's the game's in alpha, it's all in testing, but like more content is put on that game than like the entirety of any of the Tide games. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Hell, you can say they've been adding more content than all of Space Marine 2. Because Space Marine 2 has only really been adding guns and skin packs. You know what I mean? But like they've been adding maps, they've been adding like actual content, and it's all free. So shout out to them. I'm looking forward to playing that. So I haven't played it yet, but I will. And then besides that, we kind of revert back to my typical tabletop stuff. So I just finished my Trench Crusade campaign, and I got first place by like a long shot. I kind of destroyed everyone. Likewise, I got destroyed yesterday in Kill Team. I'm still playing that. Kill Team is still probably the least favorite system of mine because I don't know. It's just so everything is so finicky that it's almost unfun, which is kind of crazy coming from a competitive player. So to kind of put it in perspective, it's like playing a game, right? But there is, I don't know, just a bunch of little exploits everywhere that just make it seem a lot more sweaty than it is. You know what I mean? Like where it becomes
Yeah.
too sweaty, if that makes sense. I guess it's kind of like it feels kind of the same way like in season 3 League when AP Tristana used to just jump on you and you died and you're like, oh, so there's like nothing I can do there. You know what I mean? Like it kind of feels like that sometimes because I had basically the same thing happen. So in Kill Team, if you have 2 modes that you can put your operatives in, it's engage or conceal. And if you are concealed and around cover, you can't be targeted by anything. Caveat to that is that there's a lot of rules that do let you still be shot, and one of them is you have to be within 2 inches of the operative that's in conceal. So yesterday I'm like, oh, okay, I'm gonna try to play a little bit more slow because I know I play over aggressive. Let me let me play slow, move up and cover, yada yada, stay hidden. And I move up a little bit, stay hidden, and then some guy just drops out of a drop, like hot drops down from a plane, and then throws a melt bomb and insta kills things. And I'm just like, well, what's the point? You know what I mean? Like, I'm here playing this game like all tagly and stuff, and it's just like drop, boom, and then I'm like, okay, and then I guess I'll move this guy over to the corner, and he's like, actually, drop, boom, shoot you with the plasma, and I'm like, what, bro? So it's just, I don't know. It's a game like it's cool. It probably is. I mean, I'm willing to admit that. It's just that like I feel like that game is so. You need to know like everything, right? Because that was my first time facing that team, and they're just like, yeah, it turns out that you can just drop people as long as they're more than an inch from you. And I'm like, but you can shoot people if you're within an inch of them and conceal. He's like, yeah, I know. I'm like, so you're just like invalidating an entire mechanic of the game. And he's like, yeah, basically. You know what I mean? I'm just like, well, if I knew that, then I probably would have played things differently. Like the other game,
Dan with his anti-tank hammer.
Bro, we'll get into that. But like,
yeah,
I had another guy. He was playing orcs, and I have this guy that he can like basically be possessed by a demon of the warp, and he gets lethal 5s, which means he crits on a dice roll of 5 and 6 instead of just 6, and he gets. What's the other one? Ceaseless, I think, which is like re-rolling a one value of a dice. So if you roll like 5 dice and you have 2 1s, you can re-roll 2 1s or 1 5. It's just as long as it's the same value. So I'm just like, all right, here's this scrappy fucking guy. We're gonna go fight this orc. And he's like, yeah, actually, he ignores both of those rules. And I'm just like, oh. You know what I mean? I was like, well, what the fuck's the point? Like, it's not even like in a way where it's like, you know, interactive. It's just in a way where you just ignore it. And I don't know. I just feel like that's kind of like unfun to play against. Where I tend to like more interaction, something like, let's say our game yesterday of Trench Crusade, where like demons can pull blood from humans, and there's a little bit of interaction with you pulling blood from my guy so that I can't get a blessing token. Like that's a cool little interaction there, you know what I mean? But it's not just saying like, yeah, actually the entire purpose of that thing, it's gone, and actually you're just dead. You know what I mean? So yeah, but like I said, it could be me. I don't know enough about Kill Team yet, so maybe I should. I don't know. I don't want to like ask like, what does that do? What does that do? What does that? And then let's slow the pace down of the game. So I'm just learning through fire. Basically, I'm getting my ass kicked and figuring it out that way. And then yeah, the last thing is probably our campaign of Trench Crusade that we started for the Discord, which Lily got super ahead on, so I'm kind of terrified because her assassins are fucking terrifying. those guys are scary as shit. So but yeah, like
Crusade's been awesome, man.
Yeah, I know, I've been harping on it for this podcast for a very long time, and yeah, we're finally getting there. So I started my what's the name of these stupid fuckers? My Trench Pilgrims. So the reason I went Trench Pilgrims, I think, did I tell you why, Mike? I don't remember if I did.
No, I just thought you liked how they looked.
No,
that's usually your reason to pick.
On the contrary, I don't like how they look. For the most part.
The pointy hats?
No. No. So I play New Antioch. That's like my army. But
yeah.
The thing is that I saw this Kickstarter.
Those guys are cool as hell.
Yeah, they do. I saw this Kickstarter that started, and it was what's it called? Torquemada's Inquisition. I think that's how you say it. So I'm gonna link some art for you guys, but it's supposed to be like
I looked up New Antioch. Sorry, just to like take a look at like the image.
Yeah.
And then I see an image that says "Faith unwavered, pants unsoiled."
So yeah, these guys are like a proxy for the new Antioch, and they're based on like the Spanish Inquisition, and I tend to not like
Okay.
how they like the Spanish Inquisition aesthetics, but they kind
The
of like
conquistadors and stuff.
yeah, but they like grimdarked the fuck out of it, and I really like how it looks. Like it looks fucking
They do
cool.
look cool.
That
But
is
then I
dope
was
as
like, you
fuck.
know, I already played New Antioch. I want to try Trench Pilgrims, but I don't like how they look. But thankfully, Trench Crusade lets you just play whatever. So I'm gonna proxy these guys as Trench Pilgrims, and then if I do feel like playing them as New Antioch, I'll be like, yeah, they're just New Antioch. You know what I mean? And I'll make a list around them.
Yeah.
But I mean, hell, they even have some of the guys
Yeah,
with the
these look
pointy
cool as
hats.
shit, yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, I just printed them, so I'll probably start painting them here in a little bit. But yeah, that's why my list was called Melee Spanish People.
I love it. I love the shrine.
Yeah, right?
The shrine is great. Yeah.
Dude, it's just
I
cool
just
as
like
shit.
how round he is. His little hands.
Yeah, I like how it's like these like
Yeah.
chain fist hands. It reminds me of like
Yeah.
a boss from a game. I just can't remember which one. Like actually
Wow, the I'm sorry, but the Trench Pilgrims
Yeah, I
themselves
know.
look even more like KKK.
yeah, I know. I saw that and I was like,
Crazy.
wait a second.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's why yeah, it's great, dude. I'm a big fan.
But Alex, yeah, you got to give it a try if you're interested. It
I
looks really
am.
fun.
I need to take a second and watch those videos you guys posted.
Mhm.
That's
And
all I
it,
did.
it really isn't that hard. Like
Yeah.
No, Mike caught
when I
on
tried
quick.
getting into Warhammer, it's like, man, like I like Warhammer. I love the lore. I love the factions, all that stuff. But like playing like, I mean, Kill Team was a little bit.
Yeah, Kill Team is way harder than something like Trench Crusade.
Yeah, like even Kill Team, when I tried Kill Team, I was like, it's cool, but I was like, dang, I'm gonna have to sink like a lot of time to get comfortable with this. And Trench Crusade, after my first game, like I started like you pick it up really fast. And
Yeah.
that's not to say that it isn't a layered deep game, because I played my first campaign game against Dan yesterday. And I think that was my third game overall, third or fourth game, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And that was like the most like for me strategically complex game I had played and in terms of like, you know, tabletop, and it was like hella fun, but it's not like I feel like I wasn't like super overwhelmed with stuff, you know.
Mhm.
Like where it was just like the rules are pretty intuitive,
Yeah.
and they're not like super like, you know, here's section 108.5c, you know, like
Yeah, yeah.
so it's literally just a PDF. They have like the rules how to play the game, and it's like 2-3 pages. The videos Dan linked are like 10-15 minutes long, and they basically cover everything besides your like faction specific rules. And even then, the faction specific rules aren't like super complex.
Yeah,
So
they're
how many
pretty solid.
factions are there? Are there like
Like 6, right?
Yeah,
Six.
it's what Trench Pilgrims, New Antioch, Black Grail, Horde
Black
of the
Grail.
Seven Serpent, and Heretic Legion.
I might
I don't
start
think
looking
I
at that
missed one.
today then and see.
You're missing.
Oh, Iron Sultanate,
the
yeah.
one Lily plays.
Yeah, Iron
Yep.
Sultanate.
Yeah. I'll probably look through it and see which one I want to go with today.
They're all cool. I like them all.
Yeah.
Personally.
So
Yeah.
I chose Court because Dan showed me that one
The Sorcerer last
Sorcerer.
podcast.
Yeah, and then I was like, damn, this looks cool. And then I saw the Desecrated Saint, and I was like, okay, I'm picking this.
Yeah. I it's funny, like I don't know if did I already say this, that people think that Kill Team is a sweaty game sometimes?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So the reason that that was my justification is that the guys that I play Kill Team with, they were like, one of them's interested in Trench Crusade, but the other guys were like, yeah, I looked into it and I just don't like the swinginess of the game. And I'm like, I feel like that's what makes it fun though, personally. Like Trench
Mhm.
Crusade is my
Yeah.
chill game, you know? Kill Team I'm really trying to get into, but so far I'm just kind of like, this is all right, you know what I mean? Maybe I'm missing something, but like I play competitive 40K, so I it's not an issue of like me losing or anything. I can give a shit less. It's an issue that like it's just kind of like when I play competitive 40K for the most part, right? I kind of know my lines of action. I know like I'm gonna move this unit here, I'm gonna move this unit here, and if an opponent hits me back, I can like rearrange and be like, all right, so that thing died, so maybe I go here, here, and here, and that's it, right? Same with Kill Team. Like it's pretty easy until like all your lines of actions just fall apart because some bullshit rule was fucking like I don't know, overseen or something. I don't know. But with Trench Crusade, the thing that I like about it the most, and the things that people don't like, is that anything cannot go your way. Like, that game actively works against you, which I kind of like. It kind of reminds me of Darkest Dungeon, with things like, oh, as we saw yesterday, you can get a 3-inch move to all your units for 6 inches for free with the War Prophet, but it's a risky action. And even at +2 dice, you have to consider the fact that you can fail that, which I failed. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
or like a
+4 to kill your Stigmatic 9.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I roll 4 ones and fail.
And I know a lot of people say that that's like not fun because they're like, it's a fucking desecrated saint. It should be able to destroy anything in front of it. And I'm like, well, it's the same in fucking space in 40K and Kill Team. Like, just because you have some overpowered thing doesn't necessarily mean they're always going to perform. I mean, like,
yeah,
that's like the entire reason why some people don't like running Primarchs or running Greater Demons, because if you run like a Bloodthirster, yeah, he's scary as fuck until you force him to hit on 5s, and then he just doesn't do anything. You know what I mean? Like, it's just weird that that's a criticism when it's not exclusive to Trench Crusade. It's just the fact that, like, my 37-point shitter can kill your Desecrated Saint if he gets lucky enough, but, you know, crits exist in Warhammer too. So, like, that's a thing that can happen.
Yeah.
It's just the fact that the game is based off of 1 HP that makes it difficult. You know what I mean? Because some people say, like, a Yaman doesn't have to kill, or can shoot a Desecrated Saint once and kill its tough, or if it's already been used, it just straight up kills it. And it's like, well, should little Glupshido be killing the Desecrated Saint? Probably not, but it's not like there isn't things that are deterring him from making that happen. He has lower stats to begin with, right? So, yeah, that's criticism I heard, but I don't know. I think it makes it cool. Like, when my Desecrated Saint, or when my Stigmatic Nun is going toe-to-toe with the Desecrated Saint 3 turns in a row and somehow living, like, that is the moments that make those games memorable, you know what I mean? Not necessarily the fact that your Desecrated Saint is destroying the entire left flank. So, I personally like it. And again, it's more my beer and pretzels kind of chill game, so I don't really care that much. If they ever, like, make competitive Trench Crusade, I'll just kind of be like, I probably won't take it too seriously. I'll probably play it, but I'll just be like, eh.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I'm looking forward to one, building those Inquisitors because they look sick as fuck, and getting our IRL campaign going because they're kind of my test group. Like, as I'm doing this campaign with you guys, I'm building my lists, understanding how to build Trench Pilgrims so that I build them real life, and then probably play my next IRL campaign, which I think is going to be 18 weeks. It's a really big one, so
damn, okay,
should be fun. Yeah, but that's basically all I've been playing. I haven't been playing a lot of games as per usual. Oh, the last thing I wanted to talk about, Magic. I've been playing more Magic. I got a lot of my Y'shtola deck finished. And then I caved and bought Golbez as well. I told myself I would slowly build him, but then I dropped like $100 on him. So
Jesus.
Yeah. Because I was looking at Card Kingdom for prices, and then at some point I just like I hit my card, and I'm like, you know what, I could probably just press buy right now. Because since Card Kingdom is a little bit more finicky with their stock, you know, I don't want the thing. Like, a lot of them were like, oh, one stock left, one stock. I got FOMO'd basically. So,
dude, the Final Fantasy stuff has been so like weird. Because historically, when a set comes out, like after like 2 or 3 weeks, that's like the best time to buy cards.
Yeah.
Because everybody's opening boxes and stuff, and you know, cards are at their cheapest at that point, unless like a card like really pops off competitively and it's like a multi-format all-star, or like very coveted in like, you know, Commander or something like that. But the stuff has only been going up. Like everything, like the sealed product has only been going up. The boxes started off at $180, which is already like $50 to $60 more expensive than like than other standard sets. And then now, after a couple weeks, it's at $220. That's the MSRP I'm seeing. Not MSRP, but like the price I'm seeing on all the stores. And then the collector booster box, like the collector packs were $50.
Yeah, I know. I remember
which is already like, what the fuck.
I kept messaging you because I didn't know if I was being swindled. I was like, they're selling them for $60 here. Mike, what's MSRP? Because I was like, there's no way one pack is fucking
MSRP. I think it's like $45.
That's still crazy though.
It is crazy. Dude, I went to Cool Stuff yesterday, who like has really good prices for sealed product. And it was $100 for a pack.
Jesus.
A single pack almost $1,200 for a collector booster box.
Is it still the same 12 card pack for the collectors?
I think so. Yeah.
Oh my god, bro.
Dude, it's just the craze for Final Fantasy like blue. Like I knew people wanted it, and I know it's it just on pre-orders alone, it's the highest selling Magic set of all time, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which still is crazy to think about. But like to this extent, where I'm just like, oh my god,
It's just being
And
like
I was talking to-
gouged, like way too much, man. They really have to
not even
reinforce.
But the thing is, people are buying it.
That's what I'm
People
saying.
just
Like
keep buying it.
people
yeah.
really have to reinforce.
Like-
I just wish they reinforced MSRP because they brought it back like what 6 months ago, and then people were like, "Oh fuck yeah,"
Yeah.
and then it just didn't matter.
Yeah, the thing is like it's so weird because it's like there's so many cards in that set that are like highly coveted. Like it's just packed with stuff that people want,
Yeah.
with like really cool and that's taking away like the emotional attachment to like the characters,
Mm-hmm.
and stuff like that. There's just a lot of good fun cards and
Yeah.
everything. So it's it's interesting,
Mhm.
but
Yeah, thankfully, a lot of the cards that I'm looking at are not from Final Fantasy, so I've been having a little bit of an easier
Yeah.
time. But I did see that Gearson Star and the fucking Kellermore from Warhammer is
Yeah, he's
30
hella
something
expensive now,
dollars.
right?
Yeah, what the fuck? I was like, what the hell, man?
well, those I think I wouldn't be surprised if they get more expensive over time. Like,
Yeah,
the
I thought
Warhammer
about just
cards.
pulling the trigger there because I was like, he's not gonna come out again unless they make a set or something, which would be
Yeah.
sick. But I don't think
That
that's
would be sick.
I don't think it's gonna receive that treatment. Well, I don't know because the Warhammer one
you s-
apparently did really really well, didn't it?
Yes, no, it did amazingly well.
Yeah.
The
The Necrons are
Did you
starting to get
see,
expensive
what they-
too.
Did you see what they showed off for Secret Layers?
The
yesterday?
Sonic one?
Yeah.
Yeah, my brother sent me the picture of Sonic and I was like,
Yeah, I
It's
immediately messaged him and I'm like, Pedro. He's like, you have to help me get him, Mike. And I'm like, I wish I could.
So, yeah, so yeah, I have most of your Stola built. I have to run through a play test with her. I didn't tell you, did you hear yesterday about the Woodfall Primus thing that I ended up doing?
Yes.
Oh, okay, all right,
You were
yes.
talking to us
So that was
about it.
funny. Yeah, and then I got Gobez going. He's a little bit more casual.
Yeah.
I have to see what he does because like I've goldfished him quite a bit on Moxfield, and it seems like
Mhm.
it does a lot in terms of like getting triggers and stuff. But I need like a cash out. I think is what is needed on the deck,
Yeah, payoff.
and and I'm not exactly like I'm infamously bad when it comes to artifact decks, so I need to figure out something. But I bought up Car Clan Ironworks and everything, so we'll
Okay.
see.
How much was that? The Ironworks?
I don't remember. Simply because I told the guy to pull it off the shelf, and then I refused to look at individual prices because then it hurts my soul. Like if I buy a bunch of cards and it's
Yeah.
like $50, I'll be like, all right, yeah, like all these cards are $50. But if I'm like buying 4 cards and 3 of them are $1 and one of them is 47, then it's gonna hurt. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I just like blissfully ignore it as I buy it to try to make myself feel better about my purchases.
Then there's me. I dropped 200 on my standard deck yesterday.
Yeah.
I'm only missing like 5 cards.
I also took.
Mostly because they were sold out, so I couldn't buy them.
Yeah, I had that problem with Card King. There's a couple that I still have. I took apart Locust God, like after years of
Okay.
having him. Yeah,
Does that
I
hurt?
a little bit. Cause I like that deck, but it's just the thing is like it is so reliant on the Locust God, and he
Mhm.
is so expensive, man. So I like when that deck pops off, but essentially what ended up happening, I was looking for like extra sleeves or something, and then I dug through the back of where I keep all my Magic stuff, and I saw the deck there, and I was like, what the fuck is the Satin Tower holding? And it was Locust God, and I was like, oh, like, if I forgot about it for this long, I think it's fair to say that I should probably take it apart. But which sucks because I bought a new deck box the day I found him. I could have just reused the Satin Tower, but yeah, like I had some real powerhouses in there too, though. So I had like Mana Echoes, which can go into my Zerzoth deck. I had Roaming Throne, which went in your Stola because she'll get both triggers off of Roaming Throne. I had a couple of other cards in there. I think I had like Swan Song in there, a couple of things that I could use on other decks to like get them where I need them to be, and then everything else that was it was one of those decks where basically it just had a lot of like the quote unquote game changers on it. So
Hmm.
taking it apart meant that the only thing that was left afterwards was just like the standard shell of a deck. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That was definitely one of those decks that was being held up by the fact that it had things like Cyclonic Rift, Mana Echoes, the Roaming Thrones, like, you know, big synergy pieces that are just good everywhere. So I kind of felt like the deck wasn't standing on its own merits, and when it did, it needed the commander, and when, you know, he's kind of
Yeah.
very easy to remove. He's very easy to pay for because he goes back to your hand and he's always 6, but it's also always 6 on a combo deck. It's just kind of tough to justify. So I took him apart and he's dead now. Rest in peace. We appreciated
R.I.P.
your combos. I love the Locust thing though, but it's way too pricey. So, but yeah, that's basically it for me.
Cool. Mike,
All right.
what you been up to?
Cool. I've been playing a lot of stuff actually. Since we
I feel like every single
Last
time I
talked.
hop on fucking Steam, you're on some other weird game.
I just like games, man.
I
Leave
just
me
like- I just
alone.
like games.
I see 4 in the activity for our Discord server, and it's 4 different games, and it's all you.
Yeah, that's what I'm
Yeah,
saying.
exactly. Yeah, I just like hopping around. So, I've been playing through Final Fantasy VI. And that's like, you know, here and there. It's been amazing. I actually like it a lot. I fuck with it heavy. The cast of characters in that game are fucking amazing, man. So I've been playing through that. And then the main game I've been playing recently is Rematch, which I've been pretty addicted to. Not gonna lie, that game is so fucking good, man. And people who don't like soccer have been thoroughly enjoying it, which makes me happy. But that game's been cool. I've just been playing with my friends, ranked. We just shit talk each other a lot. I just like how.
What about shit talk?
fun
Every
that
single time I
community
hop
is.
in there when you guys were playing,
It's
it's fucking
toxic.
yelling. Yeah, I'm just like, I'm getting out of here.
Yeah, it's toxic, but in a funny way. Yeah, no, it's been great. I've really enjoyed my time with Rematch, and I'm really happy that a lot of people are playing it. It seems like it's got a pretty good player base already, and I hope there's some type of competitive scene because I'd love to watch that. But yeah, it's been a fucking blast. I can't, sing the praises more of that game. The only thing is that there's still some stability issues and some server issues. But like even during like the beta and like the launch of the game, where it felt like I was crashing every other match, it was so like usually that would just put me off and I would stop playing the game. But the game was so addictive for me that like it just didn't matter. So and it felt like that way with everybody else in the Discord too, where we were just like, okay, we just reconnect and we just keep playing, and it's just like, the game is just so fucking good. It's so fun. If you liked Rocket League, it's very similar to Rocket League, but instead of cars, you're controlling a person. It's very skill based. It's amazing. I've been having a blast. So highly recommend that for people who are maybe interested in it or like Rocket League or like soccer, or not. It's like it kind of harkens back to those old arcadey sports games that we used to have, like NBA Street, NFL Street, stuff like that. That like people who weren't into those sports like could enjoy, because it was just a fun game. So that's how Rematch feels to me. So been having a blast with that. Final Fantasy VI has been great. Got into Trench Crusade with Dan. That's been a blast. I've really enjoyed it. The match, even though I lost yesterday, the match yesterday was really fucking cool, and it was like nail biting close, man. I really liked it. Like even though I felt like I dominated combat, Dan like strategically outplayed me there, which I felt was really really cool. That like I liked that personally. That it was like I was focused on combat, on trying to take over like key points in the map, but because of the way Dan like positioned his stuff and the way I messed up in positioning my models and stuff, he was able to pull out the win, even though like he didn't kill a single unit of mine and I killed like half his army.
I still think that's
Which just
crazy.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It shows how good and deep the game can be.
Yeah. I remember like
So-
afterwards I was like, I literally didn't kill anything.
Exactly.
Yeah,
So
I couldn't
it
close
was
the
just like-
distance.
Yeah, but it was awesome. I had a blast. So that was my favorite game so far. And and I didn't feel like I mean, at least to me, so far the only thing that was like, oh, this is very cringe, is, and maybe because it was my very first game and because of the map and how like at a disadvantage I was Lily's cannon unit with the iron salt in it was the only thing that felt obscene to me. But like I
Yeah.
said, that probably is just inexperience, and also the map not
I
having
mean-
a lot of ranged options when I first made that first list.
Yeah, because I was gonna say you have a
So-
hunter now. Like you blow that guy up.
Yeah, now I feel like I could handle it.
Yeah.
But yeah, that first game was really rough for me. So, but in terms of like that one unit, but
Yeah, because our
it's
last game was tough for me because I didn't have any range, and I was having problems closing the gap to you. Like I was failing charges left and right,
yeah.
and whatchamacallit, like, yeah, if I can't get in, then I obviously don't kill anything because I think my longest range is the bolt actions, which are fucking nothing,
hmm
and then next to that it's the 8-inch Warcross. So
Yeah.
like it just goes to show that like I like you need to tailor your list a certain way, or you have to skew one way so hard that you can just start winning the moment you make contact.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, even with not killing a single unit, but more bodies will always do it. That's like the new Antioch tactic. Your guys do nothing, but you have like 20 of them, and you are just
Yeah.
putting them everywhere.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's been a blast. I've really enjoyed all the armies. I love how the models look. Once I get my bonus in July, I'm planning on buying a new 3D printer. And I really want to print out the court models and paint them. I
that's
just
another
love how they
thing.
look.
Uh,
Like, they look so fucking cool. So
did I tell you guys about my 3D printer thing? Like,
oh,
what
like
hap-
how what happened with the guy fixing it, right?
Yeah. Alex, did I tell you? Do you know anything about 3D printing?
Very little.
Okay. So, to put it like as simple as possible, basically I damaged the screen on this printer. So I went in, took it apart, fixed it, right? When I put it back together, it didn't turn on anymore. I didn't know what was going on. So I went to go play competitive 40K, and then they were like, yo, I was talking to like the tourney host, and he was like, hey, yeah, I also fix printers. And I was like, oh, sweet, I have one that isn't turning on anymore. It used to, but I took it apart, fixed it, now it doesn't want to. And he's like, oh yeah, I'll take a look at it. So he then messages me back. He's like, hey, what's wrong with it? And I was like, it just doesn't turn on after I did all this. And he's like, yeah, so I heard it trying to click on and it wasn't turning on, so I figured it was a fault in the motherboard. So I just gave it a lower power source and then it started working. And I wanted it to fucking jump off a cliff because basically what happened is it just didn't break. It just got shy. So then I had to drive up like an hour and a half to the like a guy. He lives in the Rockies, so I was like way in like fucking the mountains and stuff. And I don't know, I get a little angsty about being so high up, driving with like just this little barrier and then a cliffside. But it's gorgeous out there, man. So yeah, yesterday I spent 3 hours driving just to pick up my printer after I fucking realized that I messed up. So that was fun. Yeah. So now I have two
Yeah.
Saturn 4s. I was like, I don't even know if I need to, but I'm gonna try to put them to use, and I'm gonna just be printing out some like mad terrain, like because I want to be
Yeah.
making the fights a little bit more I guess what's the name, thematic. There's a guy who has like, he got like a model set of like a church, painted it up, and then he just took a Dremel and started like ripping holes into it and cutting off sides. And then he got coffee stirs and then turned them into like barricades and ladders and stuff. So whenever I go against him, his name is also Dan. Whenever I go against Dan, he plays court as well, Mike. The
Yeah.
battles when we play are so fucking cool. Another thing I like about Trench Crusade over Warhammer too is that like I know a lot of people complain about L-shaped terrain and that the tables look really boring in Warhammer. And to a degree, it's for balancing, but to another degree, it's like in Trench Crusade, the boards look so fucking cool. Like there's so much shit going on
Yeah.
with them. So
Oh yeah,
so
I
yeah,
saw
I'm
that, it's VTT, but the map you posted for us to download, that shit looks dope as fuck.
yeah, compared to Warhammer maps that are just like little walls, it looks sick.
Yeah.
So
Oh yeah.
I'm gonna use the second printer to just be printing mad fucking trenches, and I'm gonna start, getting creative and making popular like modular terrain so we can switch it up all the time. Yeah, man, It's awesome, dude. I've never gotten so much use out of a 3D printer as I have now. So and now I have two of them.
Nice.
If you come to Orlando for like vacation or something to visit, you should bring your army so we can play at late.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say my printer. I was like, excuse no.
Bring your army so we can play at Layton or something.
Yeah, I can totally do that.
I'd like to play. That'd be fun.
Dude,
So,
it's so much more funner
and
in
then
person.
I should get Lily and Ramon and Alex into it, especially because it's like way cheaper
Than Warhammer? Yeah. I mean, like,
Yeah, that's another thing that kind of turned me off from Warhammer. It's like I'm already addicted to Magic.
yeah,
And like that's already like an expensive hobby, you know.
yeah.
Like I can't also do Warhammer. Like it's just not feasible for me. So as much as I love my Necrons, you know, it's like I can't do it. So
Do you ever build a Necron deck?
like what, Necron deck or army?
A deck. Like in Magic.
I mean, I have the precon.
Oh, I'm surprised you didn't like try to high power one of them.
I considered it, but then the precon itself just plays. It's already like good enough.
That's fair.
Like,
No,
it's
I
like
know
a bracket
that.
3.
I just figured that you'd want to like
it's
flesh
good
one
enough,
out.
So yeah, I considered it. I have a list online of Imatech that I've played a couple times. But I like, you know, after playing that, I was like, it's fun, but it's not different or like different enough that I wanted to build it.
That's
you know,
fair.
and also I just like how everything is like, you know, on theme with the precon and everything is like, you know, Necron related.
Yeah.
So I liked how everything was that. I'm planning on doing that with the Final Fantasy decks too. So I'm master setting the set. I've already decided on that. And I'm gonna get both the collector versions of the commander decks and the regular versions. And the collector ones I'm gonna keep as precons, you know, like keep intact. And the regular versions that I'm gonna use the cards for that. Or like build decks, you know, with those cards and stuff, or I don't know, modify them. But yeah, so that's that. Trench Crusade. Let me see. Is there anything else that I've been playing as of late that's been calling out to me? I feel like there was one other thing I wanted to talk about. Trench Crusade rematch. Oh, Football Manager. Yeah. Let's go.
2 sports games.
Yeah. So I am a soccer head. I really fuck with
Really?
soccer. Yeah.
I couldn't
Like
tell.
not just like because I like not just like the sport, you know, or I guess I like watch a lot of soccer. Like a lot. I'm a big Chelsea fan, which is already gonna make people groan, or some people happy, as it is with every sport when you say you're a fan of a certain team. But I'm a big Chelsea fan. I will unironically wake up at 6 or 7 a.m. if I have to catch their games and stuff. So I'm pretty, like, I guess, committed. I really love it. And I just watch games just to watch games when I can. So I've always liked the career mode of FIFA, of like managing. I've liked the managing side more than I've liked, you know, playing as a character and then, you know, building up your character and like having like a player's career. I've always liked the managerial career side of it. And while FIFA, like after a while, once I like got really, really into it, it just kind of, I was just like, man, I felt like I couldn't really do exactly what I wanted to do. The options there felt limited. Once you start getting into it. And I'm just like, man, I've tried Football Manager before, and I really couldn't get into it. I just like dove in, was going through the tutorials. The tutorials was boring. I'll say the UI, or not the UI, but like, it's just a lot to take in, and then also, it's not flashy or doesn't capture your attention, I guess. So I kind of peeled off of it. And then a couple things, like, because I watch so much soccer content too, recently some Football Manager stuff, popped up in my YouTube feed. And one of them is like a streamer I like called Stans, and he likes strategy games and stuff like that, simulation games. But he was never like into soccer, and he just decided to give Football Manager a go, just fresh, you know. Like not knowing anything. And then just watching that and how much he's gotten into it, I'm like, maybe I should give Football Manager another try. So I decided to look into it on like how to get into it. And I watched this like highly recommended series on YouTube, like a beginner's guide, which I did. And dude, there's a lot to this fucking game. It's crazy. It is like if you like simulation, like simulators or like games like that where you're like focusing on, I guess, I don't know what's the word I'm looking for. I guess it's just like a simulator is the best. Simulation game is the best type of adjective for it, but or description for it. But it goes deep, man, and it feels like you literally can do anything. And while it was a lot at first, I just followed along the videos and took it step by step on like different sections, and I've been getting into it and just kind of enjoying my time with it. And I've been like just talking about it. I've been wanting. I want to play it. So I've gotten into it, and I'm like I understand now. Like I can see why people. Because the thing with Football Manager is like the meme is like once you get into it, it's like it like consumes your life, and then it's like I already kind of feel that, like when I was playing Rematch, it's basically all I've been doing is Trench Crusade when we set it up, Rematch if the homies are on, and if not, I'm playing Football Manager, like so it's been a lot of fun. It's been really addictive. And I just got Football Manager 24 because I was playing on 2023, and the Steam Summer sales going on right now. So I'm like, let me grab this to get some updated rosters and some extra features that I thought looked cool that they added into there. But yeah, so that's the other game I've been playing. It's been cool. And I guess on the Magic side, like I insinuated earlier, I just bought a standard deck. And I built it mainly off of like I built this deck. It's not like a tier 1 competitive deck, but it's a deck people were playing a lot during the early access of Final Fantasy, and I thought looked really, really cool. And it looked fun, and it looked good enough where it was like it's able to take games off of tier 1 decks and win and stuff. It just isn't like consistently tier 1. So that was whatchamacallit. So I decided to do that. And I built it mainly because it was using Yuna, and I really like Yuna, and Terra's also in the deck, and I really like Terra. So I was like, okay, there's a deck I get to use both. And then Summon Bahamut and Summon Knights of Round is in it too. So a lot of the characters and cards I really like from Final Fantasy are in the deck. So I was like, I'm going to build this. It looks a lot of fun, like my type of thing. So I built it. Fortunately, a lot of the cards, like almost all those cards I just said, are like $20 each. So it's like it does build up a lot in terms of price. But this is the first. I bring it up because it's the first standard deck I've built in paper since Shadows over Innistrad / Eldritch Moon. So that's like a lot. I think that's like 7 years, something like that. So I'm pretty excited to go back to like playing weekly at the store. I think I'm gonna go every Friday and try to play standard for FNM or whenever they do standard. And then I have Ramon and Alex, my two friends that I've been playing Magic with in real life a lot. They're also really into standard. So I got people, that I'm gonna be playing with and stuff. So it's really cool to, I don't know, get back into like the competitive 1v1 formats. As much as I love Commander, I do kind of miss consistently playing something like standard or drafting and kind of sweating out,
Sweating out.
Yeah. So I'm excited. All right. So that's what's been happening with me recently. Why don't we hop on to our main subject for today? There's been a lot of really cool games that have come out recently that been revealed, and figured we would go over the ones that really, spoke to us. I have a list here if we struggle to remember anything, at least the stuff that Dan and I pointed out when we were reviewing the videos and stuff. So, Dan, you want to kick us off, or Alex, kick us off?
Sure. So real quick, I want to venture into the realm of RTS, and I'm going to do, and you'll notice my choice here. is a little similar to what I talked about earlier. So in these past weeks, a new Game of Thrones RTS was announced. Now, a quick show of hands, who's a fan of Thrones, just in general?
Game of Thrones. I am.
Yeah, Dan.
Right. Not really. Michael tried getting me into
I
it a
haven't
couple
read the
years
books,
ago.
but
That's all right.
I really like the show.
So there's been one kind of consistent thing when it comes to Game of Thrones, and it's that the actual like released licensed games have all been pretty garbage.
Yep.
Yeah.
There was that one that got revealed last time. I think it was like Kingmaker. That
Yeah.
looked very promising, and then it turned out to be a mobile game.
fucking mobile game.
Cool.
Like, God damn, that has been a
and I'm like,
trend.
I want to fucking kill myself.
Where about I want to say 80% of the games that have come out have been mobile games. The only redeemable ones, there's been 2 so far, is the Telltale one, which even then was very annoying because they did kind of the Star Wars thing of like bringing in the licensed characters. But with Game of Thrones, it's like, well, there's a whole TV show, and they're just here to kind of fuck up your day and then leave. Was the main complaint with some of the villains that were showing up. And that only had 1 season. Whereas, like, Walking Dead, I think it's still going, maybe. I'm not too sure. But I feel like Walking Dead got, like, 6 seasons. Even after Telltale kind of shut down, they released some stuff for that. So, yeah. I mean, I don't think we'll ever see a season 2 of the Telltale Game of Thrones. It was interesting enough to play, but not very well written in hindsight. And then there was an RPG that came out in like 2011, which was very much based on the books, and the writer George R.R. Martin actually did like take part in a lot of the consulting work for it. But it's also a very bland and boring RPG especially when you compare it to its like contemporaries of the time, which was like The Witcher 2 and fucking Skyrim. So
yeah,
that's kind of what happened there. And then everything else has been like mobile game garbage slop. Very Clash of Clansy, or I mean, you've probably seen the ads for them on YouTube. They look very cool, CGI ads. And then the actual gameplay itself is a shitty map game, which doesn't have any sort of depth beyond, hey, buy boosters and wait 24 hours to build this thing. So I think there was maybe a Bejeweled fucking Game of Thrones game too, which is fucking crazy.
That is so funny.
Conquer Westeros by combining the greens with the greens.
What's the name of the Game of Thrones RTS?
Game of Thrones War for Westeros. They released a dev diary which showed some pretty basic gameplay. Are either of you familiar with the Lord of the Rings Battle for Middle-earth games?
Middle-earth?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It gives me that.
I have number 2.
Yeah.
Physically.
I think looking at something like Game of Thrones, I would have wanted something a little more like Total War, where there's maybe a little more like map layer manipulation, and maybe there will be for this. We'll see. But it looks like the gameplay for the War for Westeros is going to be more like Battle for Middle-earth, where you are commanding like units, and it's just not as large as like managing armies, different armies, and conquering a map. It might just be more like mission-based, like, here, build your archers, build your knights, build your footmen.
Kind of more like Command and Conquer.
Yeah, a little bit more like Command and
yeah.
Conquer. We haven't seen too much of what the actual like tactical gameplay looks like again. They have released a CG trailer, which is really good. It uses the actual like characters from the show, and it's not just, again, the mobile game slop that's meant to entice you to download it. Like, there is substance here. It shows off the key factions. They introduce they actually use the White Walkers effectively. And they kind of, it kind of represents the gameplay because it's not going by the alliances established in the show. I mean, in the trailer at the very end, Jon Snow gets fucking murdered by the White Walkers, which might have been a more interesting ending than what actually happened with the TV show.
Yeah.
But, like, you see the scale of it. It looks like they're going to have dragons as a big part of the gameplay for some of the factions. And I imagine we're going to see probably the big houses like Stark, Lannister, Targaryen, and more. I guess we'll have to see what the rest of them are. But yeah, just looking through this again, they're obviously going to visually base it off of the TV show. And I love Battle for Middle-earth. So I'm hoping this is some sort of like franchise hopping spiritual successor. Uh, yeah, and I'm just looking through it.
Yeah, it looks cool.
Yeah.
I do definitely think it's been like due to have a good, Game of
Yeah.
Thrones type thing. It would be, what would be an interesting game to do? Something like similar to The Witcher, but
hmm
set in that world. I
That
feel like would be a fun one too, right?
would be
To do.
nice. I wonder if. I mean, yeah, no, you're right. I think Witcher has that same scale, especially in the books. Um, the only thing is that I feel like Westeros is far more realistic than The Witcher. Uh, and that is a very low fantasy setting until like the latter half of the actual like series. Um,
hmm
I'm looking at
Which I
this
think
more and
I think
more.
it's fine because like
Yeah.
uh something like Kingdom Come is very, I guess,
Oh, that's
prided
true.
on
Yeah.
just straight up like realistic
Yeah.
stuff, and it's a fun game, cool game.
Actually, Dan, I'm looking
So
at this, and I think one comparison you might appreciate is Dawn of War. Um, Dawn of War 2, maybe more so. Just looking at the scale they're presenting in this demo, and this is early, this is pre-alpha they're showing off. But like you do
yeah,
have the smaller, more generic soldiers, but then it looks like they're meant to be led by a mobile style hero of that faction.
okay,
So I know Dawn of War 2 kind of had that going
Something like
for
that,
it. Yeah, it was kind of a hybrid of RTS and MOBA style gameplay. So it might be more like Dawn of War 1, where it is a more traditional RTS. That would be what my hope is, just because I couldn't super get into Dawn of War 2.
hmm
But I think both will be good for Game of Thrones. I feel like you need to. Um, this franchise needs something, like a win, basically, because it's
yeah,
since the seventh and eighth season, and then like House of the Dragon being incredibly hit or miss with its episodes. Um, you need, and not to mention the fact that the fucking book still isn't out after like 14 years.
yeah.
Um,
They need something.
they need something. So it's good to see that there is still interest in making something set in the world of Ice and Fire, as far as like video game media.
Yeah,
I guess time will tell if this is something that's going to actually like, uh, again, go back to the days of like Battle for Middle Earth and really give the RTS genre a new like modern title, because a lot of it's gone to like 4X style games or
Yeah.
stuck in class. Yeah. Or Total War, I think, is still the only kind of RTS that's like been able to survive, at least on a larger scale. And I feel like half of that heavy lifting comes from the Warhammer titles, which, again, I like Warhammer, but I did try the Total War Warhammer games, and I just couldn't get into them because I kind of prefer the more like true to history style of gameplay and like army building. So um, yeah, I know this is a fantasy setting, me saying that, but in that
Alright,
it's low fantasy. So
okay. Dan, anything
The new game.
yeah,
Uh,
catch your
will I get it
catch your
right?
fancy?
Is it Pragmata, right?
Pragmata.
Okay,
Yeah,
I've been
yes.
calling it Paradigm. Dude, that game looks so fucking cool. Like,
Yeah, have you seen it, Alex?
looking at it now.
so
It's
it's
a
like,
new game, Capcom. Not quote unquote new, because they announced it, I think, like a couple years ago, but it's been kind of silent since then, and now we finally,
yeah. I
see
mean,
it.
Capcom has become basically one of my favorite publishers or developers, whatever you want to call it. They had like that one rough age where I basically dropped them when they were just making shit games. But then they kind of started coming back with like the RE2 remake, Monster Hunter Wild or Worlds, um, Devil May Cry 5. Uh, so yeah, I always keep an eye on them. But that game, it has like the aesthetics, like right up where I like it. It's like super high tech future, but like still kind of grounded in
Yeah.
some level of reality. Like it's not like, people are fucking magicians or something like that. It's just like it's kind of like what's the name of this game? Vanquish. It has like the same aesthetic as that game. Um, but your guy looks a little bit more heavier and stuff. But like the coolest part is that I'm a big sucker for puzzle games. I really like them. Like I unironically play Tetris like at least twice a week for like hours on end.
Yeah, I love Tetris.
Yeah, like I dig Tetris so much. And this game, so basically the mechanic behind it that they revealed was that it's kind of like a third person shooter action adventure. But you have a companion with you. I think her name is Diana, right? The little android girl.
It's Diana, something like
Yeah,
that.
so she sits on your back and kind of like adventures with you. So very like Banjo-Kazooie but for adults is the way that I kind of thought of it.
Yeah.
But the way that you like enemies are basically invincible in that game, but Diana can hack them to expose their armor, which also kind of reminds me of Vanquish, because Vanquish enemies have like exposed parts of their body that you can shoot to get easier kills on. But in this one you have to hack them, and the hacking is like a little side panel that pops up where Diana has to play like a little puzzle game based on how well you do is how much more exposed the enemy is to attacks. I think they said if you pass like 3 times over them, it's like more armor is exposed as opposed to one or the other. So yeah, it's cool how you kind of have to like tactfully kite an enemy while you try to figure out how to do a puzzle. It kind of reminds me of Nier, because Nier has a lot of hacking like that too, where you play that little like 2D shooter. I know, Mike, you haven't played Nier, but you've done the raids. You know how there's that one raid where you in Final Fantasy where like you become a little 2D shooter and you have to like shoot little blocks before you can pass. It kind of reminds me of that.
Okay.
So yeah, it's like real time hacking while also having to like play a third person shooter. I guess I don't know if it's even horror, but like it kind of reminds me of like the Resident Evil 2 setup. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean.
So yeah, and then like the aesthetics,
with, like, dodging and stuff added to it.
Yeah, and the guy seems a little heavy too. He doesn't seem like he's exactly like, you know, doing like rolls and shit.
Yeah.
So yeah, it seems like they're just kind of layering like what they've done with third person Resident Evil games lately onto like a new IP and adding a bunch of like puzzle elements to it in like this sci-fi setting. So
yeah, it's like really interesting mixing like you know a puzzle game with like a third person shooter like that.
And looking at the screenshot, I didn't catch this in the video, but it looks like you hack with the square, triangle, circle, and X buttons. So because I was wondering, I'm like, how are you going to move while hacking? And then that right there solves it. Yeah. So yeah, it like I said, when I saw it, it reminded me of, for anyone who's played Resident Evil 5. You know that it's like a lot easier to reload on the fly if you like open your menu, hold your ammo, and then put it and drop it in your gun rather than seeing your character reload individually. And you do that really quick. Like after a while, you just kind of get used to it. Just like triangle, up, left, square, forward, square, and then you close the menu. And it's even like that little like that string of inputs is a lot faster than watching your character reload a gun when you need it. And it kind of reminds me of that system where it's like you very quickly go and hack and then you start shooting. I wonder if they're gonna make things. I'm sure they will, where they make things like so it doesn't get bland, because I can see it kind of like feeling like an extra mechanic on top of something like a Resident Evil formula. So you're just kind of like, okay, so I just have to do this, and then I just play Resident Evil 2. But we'll see.
Yeah,
we'll see if that's the case. The enemies also look like they're extremely dangerous in this game. I don't know if that's true. But the way
I hope it's a hard game.
Well, the way that they move slowly towards you makes me think that like you are basically like 2 hits away from death at any point, because otherwise like it seems like the enemies are way too slow.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna assume that like usually in these settings it's like the futuristic AI that can rip your hand off.
I want like I want a like really unhinged like robot that's like crawling on 4s, like twisting and everything.
They're gonna
just
have
like
that.
Fucking running, just sprinting like around the walls at you and everything, and it just makes you panic while you're trying to hack it. Like that would be fucking sick, So
I can see them doing an enemy like Mr. X or the Hunter from Dead Space, where like you can't kill it, but you can hack it to slow it down as it's chasing you. I can already see that being a mechanic that like an enemy that they add into the game.
Yeah. So yeah, the game looks cool. I'm pretty like at first when I saw it, I was like, oh, and then I saw like the gameplay and I was like, oh shit. I will say I did like the aesthetic. And one thing I am happy about, at least from the trailers, is how they did Diana. She's
Mhm.
not annoying. She's just
Yeah.
adorable, you
Yeah,
know?
she's charming.
So, yeah, so it looks cool. I have it on my radar now, so I'm gonna be looking forward to that. So yeah, definitely one to watch out for.
Yeah.
And Capcom lately, man, they've been killing it.
Yeah, Capcom is-
These last couple years, they've really turned it on. So, which is cool because there was like a weird time there. I think it was like maybe like a 7-year span or something like that, where they were just like,
Yeah.
they were in the dumps.
It was it was all
So it got
foretold when they
scary.
canceled Mega Man Legends. That was the catalyst.
I know that I think they did a lot of restructuring at that time because they were like, just getting fucked financially because their games were not great. So and they really turned it around, and I feel like every single franchise they have, they've really, knocked it out of the park recently.
Yeah, they should gotta
So,
bring back Mega Man Battle Network. We'll be fine.
Yeah. All right. Well, keep the train rolling. And we'll stay on the topic of Capcom. Because the one I want to bring up is fucking Resident Evil Requiem.
Yeah, I knew it. I looked at that
yeah.
trailer. I'm like,
Yep,
Mike's gonna love this
yep.
shit.
I'll be
Yeah,
honest, like
exactly.
it's funny.
So-
I didn't even know they announced a new Resident Evil till yesterday. I was like, "What? This is Resident Evil 9?"
Yeah.
Like,
Dude, I saw when I was watching, and I was like, dude, I got goosebumps, bro. I love Resident Evil. I've I love the new character they have, Grace. She looks really, really cool. And the monster in what they showed off so far in like that hospital area, looks so fucking terrifying. And I'm gonna shit my pants when I play the game, but I'm so excited.
Yeah.
Like it looks so cool, man. And what they're doing too that I thought was really interesting. The game is primarily supposed to be first person, but they're giving you the option to play in third person or first person. Which
It's crazy.
usually the Resident Evil games are either or. So it's really cool that they, letting you do that. So people who are fans of Resident Evil 7 and 8, they can continue playing in first person, but if you like the remakes that they've done recently for like Resident Evil 2, 3 and 4 and like that style of camera control, they give you the option to do that. So cool. Going back to Raccoon City, I think it said 30 years after the incident, after the missile strike. So I'm excited to see what they do story-wise there. And they said they talked about how Leon is too old to make a game after, but the fact that they brought him up, I think he's going to be in the game in some capacity.
I think so. Too,
And we're going to see 50-year-old Leon, strutting about in Raccoon City, the war-torn
Still.
Raccoon City.
Like,
Yeah,
bro,
for
dude.
some reason. Yeah. They showed off a kind of dilapidated the RPD department or building. So it's cool to get to be back in Raccoon City, but in like a new light.
Yeah.
So it looks terrifying. It looks so far really amazing, and it's coming out February 27th, I think, of next year.
Yeah.
Which is right around the corner for a game that just got revealed recently. That's very close, So, really excited. I've already seen a lot of theories on what the monster is in the hospital. So it's cool. I like how they're because for me personally, and I think we talked about this, Dan, I really fucked with Resident Evil 7 a lot, and I was really excited for Village. And Village is not bad at all, but it kind of felt more like they were kind of retreading what they did previously, where like Resident Evil 1 to 2 were scary, and then 3 starts dipping more into
that's
action.
exactly what happened. Yeah.
Exactly. And then I felt like 8, like it was cool, and there were scary moments and stuff, but it was nowhere near as like horrifying as 7 was for me, because 7 like scared the shit out of me, man.
Yeah.
Especially going to that fucking basement. You remember that, like,
Yeah.
dude. Yeah. So that game scared the shit out of me, but I like being scared, like
Yeah.
with games and stuff. So, and I loved that game a lot, and it was just a really well curated, tight horror game. And I feel like even though it doesn't seem as like closed in as Resident Evil 7. It does, like, because you're gonna be exploring Raccoon City as a whole, it seems like.
Yeah.
like just like the buildings of like going back to the RPD department or like the hospital scenes that they showed off, where you're gonna be going into these like buildings and that being like the tight, horrifying experience, and them talking about how they want to focus on horror because that's what Resident Evil's about. And I think they saw that with Village. As much as people liked Village, and people liked the characters, I feel like that was probably feedback that they probably saw that people, wanted to go back to 7 with how scary it is, and they wanted to focus on the intensity of just scaring the shit out of you.
Yeah.
And I think it's a good call because with like I said, Village, and then the Resident Evil 4 remake, which is very action oriented. It's nice to like get another Resident Evil installment and it being focused on just scaring the shit out of you. So yep, that I am beyond pumped for that. So I'm gonna pre-order it as soon as it comes out, so or is able to be pre-ordered.
Yeah, I did the same with Village, but I never
Resident Evil.
finished it, so I don't know if I'm gonna immediately buy it again. I got to the dollhouse, and I will say I got freaked out there.
Yeah,
because like there was that part where you're like building Mia's doll, and then like I remember I was playing it alone like not too long ago, like 3 months ago, and whatchamacallit, I turned around and saw that giant fetus crawling at me, and I was like, yeah, no, that's it.
Yep. That's the part people talk about the most in that game.
Yeah,
like,
and that's kind of what I was
scariest part.
And that's what I was gonna lean into, is that a lot of people kind of were saying how like Resident Evil 7, it was terrifying except for the what's it called, the boathouse, right?
Yeah.
And then Resident Evil 7 was the opposite, where the only terrifying part was the dollhouse, and then everything else was just kind of more like, bunch of nothing, really. Not nothing in a bad way, but like nothing in the sense of horror. So
yeah,
I think people like got over Lady Dimitrescu's Q's Big Bobbies, and they were like, yeah, it's an okay game. I really didn't like the werewolf thing. Like in the first couple of fucking fights, I was just
kind of
like,
excited at first. I'm not gonna lie, because I was
Yeah.
like, "Ooh, gothic horror," and then I was like, it kind of wore off on me, and I was like, it's okay.
yeah, I feel like that was a kind of like
personally.
do you remember that trend, not to get too off topic, but do you remember that trend when like everyone was turning into wolves in video games? So there was like Sonic Unleashed, and there was Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess, and you were just like, what is it? It kind of felt like I was a little scared, man. I was like, are we going back to this? But yeah.
Beside you, there are 2 wolves, bro. Always 2 wolves.
Sonic and Link.
Sonic and Link. Yeah. Do you think they were capitalizing off of Twilight? Because they really missed their mark there, if that's the case.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, I'm just
dumb.
taking a look at a lot of the Resident Evil games or Capcom games that have come out recently. Some of them have not great reviews, like Dragon's Dogma, and then there's the whole thing going on with Monster Hunter Wilds right now. But looking at like a lot of their main hits, like Devil May Cry 5, Resident Evil Village 4, 7, stuff like that, they're all like at overwhelmingly positive, and also I will call this out too. I love that they're going back and they're releasing these collections of the old fighting games, like the Marvel vs. Capcom collection. I'm getting the Capcom fighting collection too here soon, because I really fuck with Capcom vs. SNK 2, so I'm like so excited for that. But I like that they're doing that they're re-releasing the older stuff with like online capacity, and that you can now play it,
Yeah, like Mega
on
Man.
PC and stuff, which is yeah, Mega Man, all that stuff. So I like how they're pushing forward their franchises, but also embracing like the older stuff, and just like, yeah, man, you like those old games, here you go, have them.
Yeah, not like
And
Nintendo or something where they try to fucking strike you for using an emulator for a game they're never going to republish.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I guess they kind of are
It's like,
doing the
this
same
is-
thing now too, though, aren't they, with the Nintendo service?
Yeah, it's like, give us what we want, man. Like, we want new stuff, but then give us the capability to play the older stuff on the way we want, So and I think Capcom is flourishing because of that.
It's fair.
So it's really cool seeing that. So I just wanted to give flowers to Capcom because they've been killing it recently. All right,
Good job, Capcom.
moving
I
on,
love you.
Alex.
Mwah.
Moving on, Alex. Give us another one.
So I watched a little bit of the Xbox showcase stuff, and I liked what I saw for the most part. It is very, like, Xboxy. I mean, they fucking said Black Ops 7 was their big reveal. Like, come on, right? Everyone knew that was coming out. But one I really want to highlight that like caught my eye, and I'm gonna keep an eye on is it is called Clockwork Revolution.
Yeah.
It is a steampunk. It looks to be like a shooter. I don't know if RPG is the right word, but I think anyone who's a fan of the BioShock games is probably gonna find home in this. Because it does look to be a lot like that, where it very much leans heavily into its aesthetics.
Yeah.
But it looks like this is going to be maybe a little more. I don't even know if open world is the word here.
He kind of reminds me of Infinite for sure.
Yeah, visually, I think it's close to Infinite. Infinite was steampunk light, but there was it's very airshipy Infinite.
Yeah.
Whereas this one is pure like steampunk. It looks to have really cool like customization mechanics for your weapons and things. I haven't seen, excuse me, if this is going to be like level based like Infinite is. It looks like there's going to be a degree of like goddamn, a degree of exploration for the world, and I hope there is, because it looks like they took a lot of time to craft out little details. But it definitely looks story driven. It looks like you're going to be able to create your own character, so which makes me think it might lean a little more into RPG. But yeah, this, I don't know. I feel like an adventure shooter that relies on its setting heavily has been kind of missing since
Yeah.
BioShock. So I appreciate
Atomic
that
Heart
they're
tried
having-
doing that, didn't it?
They did, yeah, but even then, that was very like modern. Still, it just had some like
That's fair. It was more Soviet era.
yeah, Soviet
That's
era.
another one that
yeah.
they announced a game for.
Oh, they.
Atomic Heart
uh,
2, and then
Ooh, that was quick. I
there's
feel
that
like that came out
multiplayer
like
game
last
that
year.
they did too, The Cube.
Yeah.
So they're trying to, I guess, build out that franchise.
Yeah. So, yeah, I'm excited for this one. I didn't really check out Atomic Heart just because it like never popped
It
on my
didn't
radar.
ever interested me
Yeah.
personally. So
Soviet era like aesthetics, it maybe just aren't my thing. So it didn't draw me. But this,
I think they can be done well.
oh, absolutely. Like Stalker, I think
like,
is the
I was
seminal
gonna
like.
say Stalker.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Stalker.
Yeah.
I think Tachanka too from not Resident Evil, Rainbow Six. Like I like that type of Soviet stuff, you know. Even
yeah.
though Tachanka's not like Soviet era, I guess per se, but
Yeah.
I like the
Russia core, I guess. You know.
Yeah. Yeah,
Russia
yeah.
Core.
Russia core.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Chernobyl.
Spetsnaz, you know.
No, I should play the Metro games, so I. Especially since I,
I
love
should.
Fallout.
That's another one. Yeah, that and Stalker. I feel like Stalker is a game I would probably enjoy too, but I've just never
Yeah.
dip my toes in that. So, but yeah, looking at Clockwork Revolution, yeah, it definitely looks like that that BioShock Infinite light,
Yeah.
not light like type
Yep.
thing.
Like a
And you
cousin
said the
franchise
gameplay is
to
more
it.
like
so it's
open
nice.
world.
From what I'm looking at, I mean, they do like run throughs of like the city streets and everything, and that could just be what you get through to get to the shooting sections.
Yeah.
But I am hoping that there is a degree of like world exploration where you can, you know, it looks like they built a city here. I'd like to just walk around the city at points, and then when I'm ready, go to different missions. Although, yeah, I guess it depends. I need to see more to see what this is about. There's also like a time travel mechanic in this, which looks cool as fuck.
Okay.
Where you can like basically create yourself checkpoints. It looks like freeze enemies in time, slow down bullets as they're coming towards you. So I think that'll be
Yeah.
like the plasmid aspect of BioShock, where you have kind of a supernatural element to modify the gameplay, to just make it so that you're not just shooting goons one after the other. But I love the aesthetics of this. I like how the shooting looks. And then it also looks like it's like made to be fun, right? Which
Yeah.
I can always appreciate. And of course, the aesthetics are fucking awesome. So, yeah, that's what I'm really big for.
Nan, shoot us with another one. If you don't have one, I can go.
No.
If you want to think about one.
It was what was the name? It was very simple. Oh, Ill looks so ill.
Oh,
That game looks
yeah.
sick.
Yeah.
That game looks insane.
Yeah, that one looks cool.
So there was this game that came. It was years ago.
especially the part where you kick the little one.
Yeah, little. they knew what they were doing there. But
Yeah.
I remember there was this game that came out, or rather was announced. It was a Guillermo del Toro game called Green Hell, right? I'm pretty sure another game with that same name came out afterwards, but it was it was revealed and it looked really creepy and it kind of reminded me of Ill. Now they didn't show any gameplay; it was just a title drop, but like the aesthetic of it, kind of like that same title drop they did for Ill reminded me of that. I don't know why, but that like fired off a neuron in my head when I saw that. But the game looks I. The only worry I have is that gameplay looked super tech demo-y, right? But it
Yeah.
also just
Yes,
kind of
I was gonna say that.
but it also kind of just looked like Resident Evil 7. So I was like, maybe it's like being super fluid for the sake of being a tech demo, but if you remove that kind of like, I don't know, tracking that they kind of did with the character, it kind of just looks like Resident Evil 7 in terms of its graphics, which is totally doable, right? It's totally believable. Is it gonna move as kind of like that kind of, I don't know what you want to call it, but disoriented way of like a horror game? Probably not. But everything they showed, all those monsters looked fucking terrifying. I like how they interact
Scary
with the
shit,
environment.
yeah.
Like they're not just like mindlessly walking towards you, but they're trying to grab shit and throw it at you. Or they like pick up a pipe. And there was that one part where the guy, like that zombie thing, like picks up a pike or a pipe, sorry, and then like you shoot its arm off, and then you see it kind of like look down at its arm as like I was like, that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Like it's, but it's still walking towards you. And I kind of like how they made it so like the blood looks like it's like kind of like tendrily, so that it looks like some sort of like infection is within them or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then they really took it to the nine when it came.
Very
It kind of reminded
gruesome.
me with like Japanese horror with like a giant head just coming out of the hallway.
Yeah.
Of course, there's the obligatory, hey, everything is slow except for this four-legged spider-looking thing. Kind of reminds me of the
Mhm.
that one girl. I forgot what her name was. From the Evil Within games, the one with the long hair and the four giant arms that crawls at you. Kind of reminds me of her. It's it looks like a mix of the Evil Within and Resident Evil 7, in my opinion, with like a kind of like gaunt green theme. Like when I think of games, I always
Mhm.
kind of think of like color coding. Like so like Resident Evil 7 is all like, the molded and black and gray. Um but this one had like a very like greenish yellow tinge to it, like very diseased looking. Same with like the pastiness of like the zombies' skins and everything. And like even the guy that like pops up and shoots that one zombie, he looked one cool as fuck, but two like very greenish and hazy. So like the game kind of has this like very gross color palette to it that I think really adds to like the visceral emotion that you're supposed to have with it. Um Kind of like how 7 or Resident Evil 8 Village has like a lot of white and like gray and fog, which I kind of like as well. Cuz it's like a little bit of like mystery kind of in a way. But yeah, that game looks sick. Everything looks really weighty, which I like cuz I think the more heavy you feel in a horror game, the better in my opinion. It kind of just reminds me of like of when I first played Dead Space and I was like, "Yo, I am like here." Like I there is no like really option to dodge or anything like that. Like you either run or you shoot. You know what I mean? Um
Yeah.
and that makes guns like shotguns feel that much heavier because you have so much more kickback and stuff like that when the games are heavy. Uh which we kind of saw with again Resident Evil 7 and stuff as compared to a game like Resident Evil 2. So, that game looks sick. I'm looking forward to it. Hopefully it's not a flop.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah. No, it looks cool. I hope. I want more, good horror games, that aren't just the big ones. To come out and people enjoy and stuff.
Yeah.
So,
Hopefully it doesn't go the
um,
way of Dead Space either. 'Cause that would suck.
yeah,
Yeah.
a new Dead Space would be sick.
Yeah.
All right. I will bring on continuing on the Japanese horror trend. Even though it wasn't like announced or revealed, they showed off a lot more of the game. But I do want to talk about Silent Hill F. So that game looks great. I'm really excited for it. It looks like they're taking a very. I'm like excited to see what they do story wise, and if it relates to, I guess, the overall lore of Silent Hill, and see how it does, if it does. And I think it's in like 1960s Japan, something like that. I forgot the exact time frame that it's supposed to be set in. Yeah, 1960s Japan. Uh, so yeah, it looks great. The enemies look great. The voice acting sounds amazing. I'm very intrigued on what the story is from the trailers. I know the writer is a writer a lot of people really enjoy. Apparently, he does a writer. He wrote like When They Cry visual novels, and it's like pretty highly lauded for its like story and how apparently it's like psychological horror, and I know a lot of people really liked the the writing and the descriptions of like the horrors, how cruel some of the scenes were and stuff like that, but then also like the characters and everything. So I haven't read them personally, but seeing how pumped people were when you know when he got credited with writing this game, uh pretty pumped about that. So that makes me even more excited for the game. um but yeah, no, the game looks phenomenal. Another one that's coming out like right there in September, so that's like literally in like what, 3 months, about to be 2 months, something like that. So uh that's a game I'm definitely gonna purchase and play. So that one, adding that
Yeah.
onto my list.
It reminds me of not set in the same era but kind of more old schooly. There was this game that I used to play. I think it's back in the PlayStation 3 called Siren Blood Curse. Um
Siren Blood Curse.
yes, and
Look
it,
that
it
up.
gives me a lot of a callback to how Silent Hill F looks like. Uh
Oh, I've seen this before.
yeah. It's kind of like Silent Hill mixed with like heavy Japanese influence. Um
Yeah.
so I'm hoping it's good. I know I saw like the whatchamacallit, that one part where you're in like the corn, not the wheat field with all the scarecrows, and I was like, oh boy, here we go. You know what I mean? I think I will say I kind of felt like it was a little bit predictable from what I've seen. I know that Silent Hill is
Mhm.
like, the one thing I like about the most about Silent Hill is that how usually the enemies are a reflection of the guilt or the sins of the person that you're playing as, right? I don't know if they're gonna
I would say that's only two. And I think
Downpour as well, and
Downpour.
5.
Yeah.
The one where you play as the
Uh
guy that comes back from the military. Most of them are that way, Mike.
it's I guess it's split 50-50.
Yeah, I hope that they
Um
do it because I really like that idea. I just don't know what
I
like a 16-year-old girl could be guilty of. You know what I mean? Uh,
But I mean, that's what we're gonna find
but
out.
yeah, I was
I
gonna
mean,
say,
that's the thing
but
that intrigues me though, because a lot of the dialogue that is in the trailer, it's like directly referencing her, and then there's some parts where she says like, "I didn't." I think she says, "I didn't know," or something
yeah,
like that, or
because I was gonna
like stuff like that. So,
say like if you've ever looked into like Japanese true crime, it like some of the worst crimes are committed by minors. Like there's the infamous case of like Junko something, and she was like 15, I think. So it's definitely doable. I just can't imagine what it would be. And I hope that they keep that aesthetic. The point I was going to into with this was that like I wish there was a little bit. I don't know. Obviously, the game isn't out, but from what I've seen, doesn't seem to be a lot of diversity in the enemies. Like one, I like the scarecrow idea, but like
mm-hmm,
quickly shambling construct has been a thing for like a very long time in Silent Hill.
mm-hmm.
You had it with like the mannequins in 5, and like you have it with the nurses in 2, and it's just like I kind of would like to see a different design rather than just another shambling corpse that doesn't move when you're not looking at it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But there was a couple that I saw that I was like, okay, this looks pretty nice.
There's
Uh,
that big like mass of like flesh that
yeah,
like grabbed her in the trailer and
yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
So,
I just hope that for both big and small enemies, they really like hammer down the point of making them creative. You know what I mean? Like, I
yeah.
always thought that the peak of enemy design was to bring back Dead Space. Is like the enemies are based on how they kind of died or what they were like when they were alive,
Mm-hmm.
because it's like transforming them into necromorphs, which I thought was always kind of cool. Um, I hope that they kind of lean into the more like, okay, this is what they did wrong, and this is like the sins being reflected through the Silent Hill effect. So that yeah, I hope that's the case. But I mean, far from that, like it looks like an amazing game so far. Oh, the other thing, they really need to nail down the combat. Silent Hill is infamous for fucking shitty combat. It's aesthetic.
I'm fine if the combat's like kind of because even the Silent Hill 2 remake, the combat was like serviceable.
Yeah,
But I still thoroughly enjoyed that game.
but I don't mean like when I say combat being good, I don't mean that it has to be like creative or intuitive. It could literally just be a way for you to hit something to make, stun it for a little bit.
Yeah.
But I hope that they make it so that it doesn't feel janky and it doesn't feel annoying to use. Cuz like Resident Evil 2 the
Yeah.
remake was, or not the remake, the normal one was really fucking annoying sometimes. Same with Resident Evil 5. Downpour was probably the better iteration, but even then, like the hit detection was like garbage.
Yeah.
Like I don't mind, like I said, I don't mind a game where like you use things like say like Resident Evil 2, right? Like when like you are getting caught by something and you can just like use a knife or something, like a consumable item.
Mhm.
Or if that's not the intended use, then maybe like if you have like a stick that you can swing like 3 times before it breaks. I'm pretty sure that's a thing in Siren Blood Curse, matter of fact. But like I want it to like be good, not to the fact where like it goes through their head and then you instantly die and you start getting aggravated at the game. You know what I mean? Because that seems to kind of be a trend with the Silent Hill games. So if they nail that in and can incorporate combat to be a mechanic that you can use to like buy yourself some time from a shit situation, I think that'd be kind of cool. But I would still want them to keep it true to its its sense of like melee is not really an option, it's just a means
Yeah.
to an end. So
One thing I will say, so far I'm really intrigued by the story. It looks cool. But I will say from what I've seen, doesn't look super scary. And
you think it's more just like trying to
At least
engross
to me.
you?
yeah, which I'm fine with. I just hope it's scary because Silent Hill 2, like the remake was also it was scary, but it wasn't like crazy. But the original Silent Hill 2 for me is one of the most horrifying games I've ever
It's
played,
genuinely terrifying.
personally.
Yeah.
It's so unsettling. I think that's the word.
Yeah.
That's more, it's so unsettling, and like the music and everything that just plays, like the drumming of like the weird fucking noises and like it's like just it's such a weird like horrifying hazy dream.
Yeah.
And the camera angles help with that and stuff. And like the PS2 graphics of not being able to
I was just about to say
fully
that.
see things in super high fidelity, you
Mhm.
know. But I am excited for Silent Hill F. I hope it's really good. It looks very promising. So that's one I'm gonna play when it comes out. And hope it lives up to the reputation of the franchise.
Definitely.
Let's do one more round. Alex, go ahead.
Yeah. So touching on it a little bit, there was a trailer, it was a very brief trailer, 2 minutes long, for Chronicles Medieval, which is looking to be like a Mountain Blade kind of game, and we don't see a lot of those that really get mainstream coverage beyond Mountain Blade, which I think is really interesting. So it's basically just about a minute and a half CGI trailer, and then there's about 30 seconds, not even 10 seconds of gameplay where you see a guy riding a horse past an army. And there's some indication that there's like the strategy aspect of it. So, I guess I need to see more to see what's up, but I'm just glad that there is, one, Bannerlord came out, I think, almost 4 years ago now. Fucking,
Yeah.
Probably feels like it hasn't been that long, but it was a while ago. That game didn't hit it for me, and I played the fuck out of Warband. I think it was more so the setting in that they went with like early medieval, like even more early than Warband. And I wanted something that took full advantage of like the medieval setting at its peak, right? Like high medieval, so think like Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, kind of that Central European style. And it looks like this game might be that, just based off of what aesthetics have shown so far.
I feel like we're starting to trend into like a lot of just straight up medieval shit recently.
Yeah.
Like whether it's like something like Mortal Shell where it's horror, like dark fantasy medieval, but people have been like begging for Total War Medieval too, like another one.
Yeah.
Like I feel like there's some like a trend of that like coming, personally.
Which I'm here for. I mean, I love that period of time.
Yeah.
The high medieval, I think, is the way it's described, or late medieval, depending on what you're looking at. But
the aesthetics are cool.
late medieval aesthetics, yeah, as right before guns become part of the mainstream. So we're at the end of like the age of chivalry, and yeah, I want to see more of this. I want to see
it's very intriguing for sure.
I want to see how it compares to Warband. I want to see if it's anything like Warband. Are we going to be conquering a map, or is this going to be something that is battle to battle, kind of like reenacting, but you take the role of a commander, also partaking in the battle, just like Mount & Blade does. So I want to say Mount & Blade does have games that have tried to, and some of them even using the same engine as Mount & Blade, funny enough, to do the same thing in different settings. Like there's one that was really creative in that it was set in like Eastern European countries in the 90s. So kind of like a Yugoslav war situation where you have 100 different militia groups all vying for political validity. And it didn't really land because, again, you're using a medieval battle formula in a tactical shooter environment. But there's one that was like pirates. One I think was like Western themed. So, all this to say, I think we need more like medieval battle simulation games that aren't just RTS top-down style like Total War. I do want to see a medieval Total War 3. I'd be grateful to see it, but I don't think we will anytime soon, just because it seems like that Sega's kind of moved their priorities away from, again, the Napoleon or historical style games in favor of, like, even in their historical style games, making more MOBA-ish style RTS hybrids where you do have standard foot soldiers and armies, but they have really like almost supernatural abilities, and then you have hero units which are meant to be like the huge force multipliers, and you kind of upgrade them as you play through a campaign. Where again, they are heroes, right? So they'll be smashing whole units while your foot soldiers are just kind of keeping the others busy. So that's just one. Again, I want to see more of. The CG trailer looks cool, of course. Which ones don't?
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm keeping my eye on that. Hope that there's some good stuff coming from it.
Any others you want to just quickly call out? Not go too far into.
One, I'm glad to see The Expanse is getting a game.
Okay.
Expanse is a really good TV show. I've only watched like the very beginning of it, but it definitely has like really tight writing and everything. And then I want to just say the 007 game looks fucking sick.
Yeah, that was one I was gonna call out.
Yeah,
but yeah, it looks really cool. I think like 2 years ago, I dove into Hitman and I played through all of the new ones because I was like, damn, this is so good.
Yeah.
I've always been a Splinter Cell fan, but I went ahead and tried Hitman, and I was like, dude, this is awesome. So I really love that series. I haven't played any of the old ones. I've only played the new ones from IO Interactive.
Oh, and I just want to tell a funny story real quick. You know how they just added Mads Mikkelsen to Hitman? Literally his Casino Royale character? Yep. I was in Ireland and in a hotel. Casino Royale was playing on the movie, and then I check my phone, I go on YouTube for a minute, and then that trailer pops up, and I'm like, holy shit, what timing. And then they announced a 007 game, which is even funnier. So it's like Destiny saying, hey, you should fucking play this game.
Yeah. But yeah, it looks cool. The trailer looks very promising. So I really enjoyed it. So that one is one I have on my wish list that I'm gonna be paying attention to. So anything else you want to call out real quick before we hop on to Dan?
Blood of Dawnwalker has a dumb name. It should be Blood of the Dawnwalker. All right.
No, what if his name is Dawnwalker?
Oh God. Okay. No, it looks cool. It's a vampire game. It looks to be like a cousin to The Witcher, not in the same franchise, of course, but devs from CD Projekt Red kind of split off, made their own studio. So it looks to be kind of a dark fantasy RPG, in kind of a similar vein of The Witcher franchise. And we should mention that The Witcher 4 tech demo did come out not too long ago, didn't it?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's Siri, and I'm really happy about that. and it's set in Kovir, which is a place we don't really explore anywhere in the Witcher universe. I don't think. Maybe in the books. I didn't read all of them, but
Looks cool.
yeah, I'm excited.
All right, Dan, hit us with
So
your last couple.
while we were looking, or while you guys were talking, one of the games that I was wanting to talk about, I found out that they actually released a demo, so I'm actually playing it as we speak. But whatchamacallit, it was called Mio. It was Memories in Orbit. It kind of looked like, what would you like? Damn, what's the name of this fucking game? Ori and the Blind Forest. It kind of reminded me of that.
Yeah.
Which is pretty cool, but it also kind of looked a little janky, if I'm being honest. Obviously,
Yeah.
The game is still being developed and all that, so I can't really blame the game for that. But it kind of had like an art style that reminded me of this game called Fury. I don't remember the name of the studio, but they are also the ones that
Yeah.
made games like I think they made Windblown, which is I think another game that is still in development. It's just kind of like a really cool art style. I don't know what you would call it, but it looks a little janky, but it's really it's like charming in its own right. And it's like a 2D platformer, which I'm a fucking sucker for. Kind of like Metroid Dread, Ori and the Blind Forest, Hollow Knight, things like that. So far playing it, it's pretty cool. It's very like less action oriented, less precise platforming, and more I guess trying to get you into the way that the game looks. It kind of reminds me of a game like Limbo, where it's more about one, the difficulty of it, but two, the things that are going on around the game. So pretty cool there. I
Okay.
kind of like the like that game. I don't know what this aesthetic is called, but it's like super hyper tech, but also like grounded in like ancient society, I guess. Like kind of when you think of like Warhammer dwarves, they're like super high tech, but they have these like old reliquary buildings and stuff, like broken technology. Another one is kind of like Horizon Zero Dawn, where it's like super realistic, but they're still kind of like in the more cultural, old sense. I don't know what kind of aesthetic that's called, like maybe like old sci-fi or something. But yeah, it kind of has that aesthetic where like your little dude is cool, like has like he's like a little eyeball kind of like orb looking thing, kind of like what's the name of this guy, Weasley from Portal 2, but he's wearing like little robes, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, I like that aesthetic a lot. The other game I wanted to talk about, so I've played Mortal Shell 1, and it kind of just seemed like a cheap knockoff of Dark Souls. Granted, I haven't played a lot of it, but I was just like, But Mortal Shell 2, Jesus Christ, that game looks insane. It looks like it's growing to become its own thing, which hey, I'm glad it got success off of the back of like Dark Souls-esque formulas, but now it just looks like a completely different game. And I really liked the thing that got me into buying Mortal Shell and trying it was the fact that like it's very heavy Dark Knight aesthetics. Where like your guy seems very big and chunky and like everything seems a lot more grim as opposed to something like Dark Souls, where it just kind of feels like an ancient society. So what they showed off for that game, they made it look like it was becoming Dark Souls and Doom combined. So like all these executions and shit going on, but the aesthetics made it look like something like Darkest Dungeon realized in like a 3D plane. So that looked really cool as well. One sec.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
I never played the first one. It also looked kind of jank to me, but the second one looks a lot cooler.
Yeah.
Not gonna lie.
And then Scum, that's the one where you play as that Japanese dude, right? Who's like just beating the shit out of people.
Was it Scum? I thought it was Stranger in
Heaven is the other
Stranger
game where you
in-
play as a Japanese dude punching the
dude.
shit out of people.
By the devs of the Yakuza franchise. I saw that trailer. I thought it was from the Yakuza franchise. It's the same studio.
Yeah, it looked like Yeah, it's Axe of Blood, the one you're thinking about.
Oh, okay. Axe of Blood. Yeah, well, Stranger Than Heaven also looks really fucking good. So
yeah, that's set in like
noir thing.
what era?
1950s
I guess,
Japan.
noir, like Japan.
Yeah.
1915's And it says it's going to go up into the 1940s, so that'll be interesting because that's
Okay.
like
Yeah.
post World
So,
War II. So
I guess games where you play as Japanese dude beating the shit out of people is my favorite genre. All my homies love that genre. Yeah, it looks really cool. Everything feels again super weighty, super cool.
The Axe of Blood thing kind of gave me like Sleeping Dogs mixed
That's
with
what I was thinking,
Sifu
that and
oh,
vibes.
I
yeah.
love Sleeping Dogs so much. Such an underrated
Yeah.
game.
So,
So
those look
yeah,
sick.
that would definitely look
and
cool.
then on
Alright.
the lesser note, this one was announced a little bit earlier. That one game that looks like Stellar Blade: Tides of Annihilation. That game looks fucking incredible. I was like, it looks like Final
Oh, yeah.
Fantasy-esque, in the sense of
Okay.
like it has that kind of like royal theme to it with like it's like a lot of crystals. There was like that one creature that like rises from the water that kind of looks like Bismarck. A lot of the enemies look very like high fantasy, but then the game also kind of doesn't go way over the top where there's just a bunch of dragons and castles and everything. It seems more like apocalyptic. And it looks like
Mhm.
Stellar Blade. Like it looks exactly like it plays kind of like with the quick dodging systems and stuff, and very flashy. You could like it almost looks like the typical Korean developer game, which I'm not complaining. Those things are sick. So yeah, those are the ones that like
It kind of reminded me, at least personally, of like kind of Devil May Cry.
yeah, that's another
little
good
bit.
example too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Looks like it's a little bit less focused on combos and stuff, and more on like
Yeah,
just being
yeah.
a normal adventure game. So it got
Yeah,
that
that one
really,
definitely
yeah, it has
cool.
that really slick kind of look and feel to it.
Hopefully it's good. Hopefully it's amazing.
Yeah,
So.
I hope so.
All right. I'm gonna go through mine that I wanna shout out. First one. I haven't played any of these games, but I don't know. Maybe it's just the setting that really kind of like grabs me. But the Mafia, the Old Country.
Oh yeah,
That one?
that one looks really good.
Yeah, it's set in like Sicily, Italy. And like the other Mafia games, for some reason, I know a lot of people really like them. Didn't really grab me too much, but this one, like, I don't know, maybe it's the voice acting or something, but I was like, damn, this feels like a movie, you know? Like,
Yeah,
it
yeah.
looks hella good.
Looks real set, like
So-
tightly shot. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm actually like oddly excited for that. Hopefully it's good, you know? So it looks really good. So, but yeah, so that one is one I'm looking at. There is the game that got announced at State of Play, the Arxis fighting game Tokon, which is looks awesome, and you know I was not whatchamacallit, Tokon Fighting Souls, that's what's called, was not expecting that. So apparently it has a lot of implications, but Capcom, not Capcom, Arc System reached out to Sony, I think, to see if they could reach out to Marvel so they can make a Marvel fighting game. And they came out with Tokon, and it's like a Japanese take on Marvel. So it's a 4v4, I think, fighting, like tag fighter, and it looks awesome. I was like so blown away with what they showed. They showed a lot of gameplay. I love the designs of the characters. It's cool seeing all of these heroes that you know in like a new light. And the gameplay looked amazing. And it's like it looked like a mixer of like Dragon Ball Fighters with like Marvel vs. Capcom. So I'm pretty pumped for that game. That game like blew me away. So that's one I'm really excited to see how that turns out. I guess another one that got announced that's kind of similar was the Invincible fighting game.
Yeah,
Invincible
that
Versus.
one looks cool as hell.
Yeah, that one also looked really cool. So we hopefully we get some 2 new entries into the fighting game genre that really knock it out of the park. So both look cool, both look exciting. So just wanted to call those out. And then we already talked about Stranger Than Heaven. That one was really awesome. And then one other one that also kind of took me by surprise, but looked very interesting was Felt That Boxing. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, what the hell is this? And I'm not really a Muppet/puppet guy. But it was the humor was there. And like the way the game is, I think that was gameplay they showed off. Looked very interesting, and they were talking about how I think they 3D modeled in the puppets like that in like UE or something. So it looks very interesting. So that's one I hope turns out to be good too, and surprised. I was like very surprised by, but it looked very refreshing and new. And I was like, that's cool. So those are the ones I wanted to call out. But yeah, a lot of really good games recently. And I guess this was announced recently too, which I'm actually hella excited for. The remake of Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3 and 4.
Wait,
Oh
really?
shit, for real?
Yeah, I did not know
yes,
that.
Yep. They're doing they're remaking Pro Skater 3 and 4, and I think it comes out in September. But yes, it comes out July 11th. So literally
Right around the corner. Oh my god.
yeah. So Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3 is my favorite one out of all of them. So I am hella pumped. I didn't buy 1 and 2. I should. At least the remakes of 1 and 2. But yeah, no, this the one that's coming out 3 and 4. I'm definitely gonna be playing that. That is, I think like a couple years ago, once I started working after I got out of high school. I say couple. That was like 10 years ago. But once I like got out of high school and I started working and everything, I decided to like buy a PS2 and then like rebuild my old PlayStation collection that I had when I was a kid and stuff. So and Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3 was one of those games, and honestly is probably the most played game I have on PlayStation. Like I played through a lot of the other games, but like whenever we have friends over and it's like, oh, let's see what we're gonna play on the PlayStation, it usually ends up being Pro Skater 3.
Real.
And my brothers and I usually just fucking play Pro Skater 3 sometimes and, just get into it, man. It's such a good game. Very well made. So
I think some of
I'm hoping the remake...
Sorry, keep going.
I'm hoping the remake, sticks to that formula and doesn't change it besides, like, how it looks, So...
I was going to say, I think some of the most fun times that we've had when we've hung out was playing old games, because I remember there was that one time we lost our mind playing Overcooked, but then
yeah
the time we were playing what was it, Crash Bash and Crash Team Racing on like your old system, where like I don't know, I feel like those games still
and
hold
the first
up.
Bloody Roar too.
Oh my god!
Yeah, Bloody Roar
we're
was
playing in my
fucking
room.
crazy.
Yeah,
That was awesome.
Yeah. Like every single time we hang out when I visit, we're always like hunting for old games and shit. And like, obviously, I'm not collecting it because I don't have any of them. But when we do like end up playing, it's always just the old games that always hold the best. Like I'm never one like thinking like, oh, let's play like the next, I don't know, Black Ops Zombies or something that, or the latest X game that's come out in the last 2 years. I'm always like, let's go back to the classics. So
yeah,
shout out Couch Co-op and Rip.
All right. I guess one last thing I want to shout out to, because I did forget to talk about it on things I did play. Gears of War Tactics, or not Tactics. Gears of War Reloaded.
Oh, Reloaded. Okay.
They're doing a remaster of a remaster of the first Gears of War.
Seriously?
Yes, I'm not even joking. It's not based off of the Ultimate Edition, but they're remastering Gears of War 1 again. It looks like they changed a lot of the lighting, and updated a lot of the textures. And I think they primarily did this because it's going to be coming out on PlayStation also.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So it's going to be crossplay, I believe, between Xbox, PlayStation, and PC. And Gears of War is one of my favorite, like, top 5, top 10 franchises of all time for me. And I have a lot of fond memories of playing the first trilogy. I am disappointed that they didn't make this a collection like they did with Halo.
Yeah, that'd be nice. I was about to say
Gears 1 through 3. I I think this might be a litmus test to see what interest there is
Yeah.
before they jump into 2 and 3. I will say Gears of War 1, in terms of like just straight execution game mode, like, you know, not including stuff like Horde mode and Beast mode and the campaign, just straight multiplayer, is I think my favorite one. And it's kind of janky. There's a lot of discussions like in our Discord about that, because there's a lot of my friends who never really played 1 but played 2 and 3 a lot, and 1 is vastly different from 2 and 3. And so they like, you know, there was a lot of disagreements with how like the game feels, and they don't like it.
Yeah.
I will say they really fucked up the server or the netcode in Reloaded. So in the original Gears of War, it was peer-to-peer connection, right? So whoever was host, there was a very big host advantage, because you were hosting, and you know, you would just have a significant advantage with the way like the netcode was, I guess, handled in terms of like registering shots and stuff, right? So host advantage / host shotgun was, you know, a thing that was common at that time. Now, the way I've seen the game with the not hit scan, but like the hit registration and how the shots go, it seems like they fucked it up. And instead of giving everybody host advantage, quote unquote, it feels like nobody has host advantage. And to like a greater degree, where Gears of War 1, to me, maybe like it's been like a long time I played, but it never felt that bad where I would just clearly shoot somebody, you know, dead center with the shotgun that should be a one shot, but it doesn't do anything to them. It never felt that bad. But for some reason in the beta, because it's the beta, not the actual full release. The full release comes out in August. The beta gameplay, there was a lot of times where I'm like, that should have hit, like, and it just didn't. And I've seen clips and like slow down clips and like I guess screenshots of stuff, and it looks like they did something with the netcode, because the client to server actions look off. So, but hopefully they fix it, and hopefully it pops off, because I would love to see Gears 2 and 3 on PC.
That'd be insane.
But
yeah, God, it's been so long since I played Gears 2, but I know Gears 2 Horde mode is super simple. It's like 10 waves. But
yeah,
my God, I'd love to play it again, just as it was. And like Gears 3 is great. I kind of feel bad because I didn't play through Gears 3 until like 8 years after it'd come out. So naturally, it was, you know, well and gone, right?
I actually believe the Gears 2 Horde mode is 50 waves also. I'm pretty sure it's not 10.
Is it? Hold on, I gotta look this up.
50
Yeah.
is plenty. Yeah, that's good. That's a good metric.
Yeah, at the end of every 10 waves is a boss, like
Yeah.
a boss event or some type of event thing.
Oh shit, it was 50 waves. Interesting. I don't think I ever
Yeah.
got past like 10 as a kid. Just funny.
Dude, I used to play. Yeah, no, I used to Gears back in the day when I was, you know, a console gamer. You know, I was an Xbox guy over PlayStation, and Gears was my childhood in that era. The 360 era, Gears and Halo like dominated for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gears was always a game I
So-
wanted to grow up with. Like that game just looks right down my alley, but I never got to play it because I was a PlayStation boy.
So fucking good, man.
Yeah,
The
I
campaign,
did play the campaign. It
so
was one time I went over to my friend's house. I was staying the night there, and I think we got through Gears 1 and 2. I think we got halfway through 3 all in one day, like one night.
Wow.
Played them back to
Yeah.
back.
Yeah.
And I liked it. It was fun.
Yeah, I love the Locust, specifically in 2. 2 is my favorite one personally. I just like how the Locusts look in 2 a lot. They have like these really cool helmets
Mhm.
that they wear, and I think in 3 they kind of took them off because, you know, you're above ground. Because in 2 they go underground to like the Locust heart, like I guess I forgot what it's called, but where the Horde mainly quote unquote live, like a major area of
Yeah.
that, and you see a lot of like their like architecture, and then like they're wearing like closed off like armor and stuff. And then 3's like primarily above ground, and it's like during the summer, so that's when they got the biceps out. The COG got the biceps out, and you know the Horde all shirtless. You know, it's hot
Yeah.
Hot Boy Summer in the Gears.
God, Gears 3
Universe
is so
three,
bleak with its aesthetics, man. Everything's so fucked. Even the locusts are like fucked because you blew up their home in 2.
Exactly. No, it's great. And Gears of War 3 is amazing. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
I just personally enjoyed 2 more because it just felt darker.
Yeah,
too.
I get you. The big worm eating
like,
cities.
I like and then the winter aesthetic too at the beginning of the game and stuff. I really fucked with, and like the Kansas too, and their Scourge, like the head Kansas guy. Like I love Gears 2, so I'm hoping they bring those two, PC.
Winter
But,
aesthetic
yeah,
will always be the most superior aesthetic. Anything to do with winter.
We did go over time quite a bit, but yeah, that was a lot of fun, man. A lot of really cool games. Hopefully all of them are good.
I hope.
I personally I don't pray for bad games.
Yeah.
So
Right.
I hope all of them are amazing and we're spoiled with choices. So but yeah, that's gonna wrap it up for us. You could find us, like I said, any socials with the tag at the Bonfire Nexus. Email us with any questions or topics you would like us to cover, anything, with the Bonfire Nexus at gmail.com. And that's going to be it for today. Thanks for listening.
Bye.
Ciao.
Later.